Are you ready?
Low
What's it
battery.
saying?
You didn't charge your phone.
This is the big interview with Norma Jean Fox Roush. So, tell us what year you were born?
I was born November 30th, 1935. It was a snowy day. No, I don't remember that far back.
No.
But no, I don't remember that
What
far
are
back.
the first memories you have? As
I can't remember too much until I was about 5 or 6 years old when I was started into school.
Yeah.
Started into Ben Davis grade school.
Did you go to kindergarten?
No, I don't even think they had kindergarten back then, did they?
So, what do you remember about first grade?
I just remember that Mrs. Wilson, Greg, your teacher that came to Avon after you were born. Miss Wilson was my first grade teacher. And she came after Wayne Township let her go or whatever it was. And weren't you in the first grade?
Yeah.
You were in the first grade school, and she taught him. I've got a picture
Yeah.
of him with her here. I mean, in Avon. She came and taught, and she
It
had
was,
him.
it was her first year of teaching when she taught you, and
Yeah.
when she taught me, it was her last year of teaching.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was her
Wow.
first year. She was the best teacher.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember that first grade. I remember I was telling you guys the other day about World War II. I still remember that like it was yesterday. You know,
Yeah.
when when Japan was bombed.
How did you remember hearing about it?
Next door neighbor, Jenny Brown. Everybody remembers the Browns, but yeah, she came over and told us. My dad was working on his car underneath. You know, his car was across the ditch. He was underneath it. I remember my mom crying. I remember her crying when she came over and told us. When that happened, and that was when I was in, I guess, the first grade. That was December, and I was 6 then, right? 6?
Did she have you plant any tulip bulbs in the fall?
Who?
Mrs. Wilson.
I don't remember that, Greg. I don't think so.
Oh yeah, she had us plant tulip bulbs, and then in the spring we got to go see our tulips come up. It was actually like that.
I don't remember that. Greg, I've got to find that picture. I've got to find
How
that.
about, do you remember any of the people in your class? Any first grade?
Oh, yeah, I've got Valentines in there. I run across some Valentines the other day. You should see the Valentine. They're little tiny and had people's names on it, different people I went to school with. I should get them out and show them to you while you're here. Those Valentines. I will. I'll get those out. Yeah, I just remember, and I was always called Sister. Always called Sister from day one till, and people I
Her
still know
parents
now.
called her sister.
People still call me Sister. Because I had 3 older brothers, I guess. And everybody thought, oh, I bet you're spoiled. You were spoiled. I said, nope, never was spoiled because we didn't have anything to be spoiled about. We didn't have anything, so
But they didn't use your name. They just called
never
you.
did. I'd get Valentines and all the way, well, Shirley Terry remembers. I'd get Valentines, and we'd have Valentine box in school, in grade school, and they would put Valentines, and it would have Sister on it.
Huh.
I think I've still got some in there. I don't know if any of them said Sister or not, but little bitty tiny Valentines. I really don't remember too much about growing up in grade school. I remember this Jimmy, what was his last name? We didn't have enough, in grade school, 2 things that I remember. We didn't have enough rooms, so they blocked off one of our cafeterias, and all it was a curtain. And we were on one side, cafeteria was on the other. That was our room for, I think that was the 3rd grade. I guess I do remember some things. And Jimmy, I can't remember what his last name was. Another time, our classroom was on the stage. We had a stage at Ben Davis grade school, and he fell off that stage every day. Jimmy, he fell off that stage. Surely we laughed about that not too long ago. I can't think his last name. And then the thing I do remember about grade school is Teeter's Drugstore. And we would walk, well, that was not in grade school because I rode the bus in grade school. This was when we walked from I had to walk to high school for 4 years. We didn't have buses. But anyway, that was in high school. We used to walk from Ben Davis High School down to Teeter's Drugs and all the guys we went to school with. I still see a lot of them.
Who were some of your friends you remember from grade school? Close friends, girlfriends.
Shirley.
Shirley was in which
Dorothy,
grades?
Shirley and Dorothy,
What grades were they in? I mean, were they in your classes?
from 1st grade to 8th grade, all the way through.
Shirley and Dorothy were both in all those grades with you?
Dorothy started in the 1st grade. She lived over off of Minnesota Street. She started in the 1st grade with us, and I think 3rd or 4th grade. They didn't move, but the grade schools changed. They had 7 or 8 grade schools come into Ben Davis High School. And she didn't move. Dorothy didn't move, but she had to go to a different grade school. So for about 3 or 4 years there, from like the 4th or 5th to the 8th, Dorothy, we didn't know her. But when she came back into high school. But there's Carol Ann Miller, Joyce. I didn't know Joyce too much in grade school. Mostly Carol Ann, Shirley, Dorothy, and they're still friends. I mean, the ones, some of them are gone. But I can't think of anything else in grade school. I can't. What's that?
I'll do that. Let's continue on the school theme. So what as you were getting into middle school, do you have any different memories of middle school, like junior high and that era?
Well, it was just all grade school, clear up through the 8th.
What kind of grades did you make in school?
Well, I've got them all in there if you ever want to look at them. I've got them all in there.
But, I mean,
I made good grades, but then I kind of sloughed, I think, when I got in high school. I made B's and C's probably. I can't remember.
What about, did you participate in clubs or sports or any of that? They didn't even have sports for you, but women back then probably.
Oh, no.
You had basketball?
Oh, no, Greg. No, I run track.
You ran track?
Yeah, it was 7th grade. We used to have track meets after school.
What was your event?
Well, I've got... You never saw my ribbons?
Probably. What events did you do?
It was relay. They used to have after school. Yeah, that was 7th grade, I think. Yeah, I forgot
You had to
about...
pass the baton?
Huh?
You had to pass a baton?
Oh, yeah, it was relay.
Huh.
4 of us.
Who was on your relay team? Do you remember that?
Oh, Gregory. Oh, I don't remember. You know how many years ago that
It
was?
was quite a ways. Yeah.
I don't remember, but I think it was the 7th grade, and we'd have track meets, and they would come to our grade school. Yeah, I run track. I don't have any blue ribbons. I think I got a white, and I think I got a red, or what was red? What's red?
But you didn't do it in high school, or?
No. The only thing I was in high school was Sunshine and the Booster Club. I wasn't, do anything. And I can't remember anything else from grade school. I don't know. Oh.
Well, then when you got into high school, what year did you get your driver's license? Or what?
I was 16.
You got them at 16?
I was 16. Oh, one thing I was going to tell you about grade school. I was a midterm. I started in January, and all 4 of us kids was in Ben Davis grade school at the same time. I started in January. Billy was a 8th grader, and so there was one semester where all 4 of us was in grade school.
Oh.
I want to tell you that.
Okay.
Okay. I did get my license when I was 16. And I had my beginner's license, got a speeding ticket on 16th Street. Everybody remembers that. That was Shirley, and there was one person, I forget who that was, had driver. Your friend could have regular driver's license, and if you had beginners.
Mm-hmm.
So Glenn worked at Allison. That was after no, 16, I was still in high school.
So did
Yeah.
you get did your dad let you borrow the car and get out?
No, my dad never. No, that's the only time. Glenn worked at Allison's. He was out of school before he went into the service, I guess it was. Yeah, it had to be. Yeah, I went to Allison's. He let me have his car. I had a beginner's license. And 16th Street had just opened. That's when it opened, when I was 16. No, there was some kids from Ben Davis High School, and we were fooling around. I got a speeding ticket. And the guy that arrested me was a motorcycle cop, and after your dad and I guess before or after we got married, it was some relative of his, the cop, the motorcycle.
Did your parents find out about the ticket?
Well, they did. No one told. That was after I got out of school because I was working at downtown at Farm Bureau Insurance. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. That was the summer I got out of high school. Yeah, I got that ticket, and we all pooled our money together. And I forget now what it was, but it's quite a bit. And anyway, I got home that night, and didn't not knowing that they knew that I had my ticket. Glenn had told them. Yeah, he did tell them. And I walked in, and I think it was my dad. He says, "How much did it cost you?" I think you knew that, didn't you, Greg?
I think I'd heard that one.
Yeah. But anyway, I forget how much it was. But anyway, yeah, I did get a speeding ticket.
All right, let's talk about your brothers. You had 3 brothers. How much older were they than you?
Well, okay, I was born 35, Glenn in 37, Bobby.
Well, you're the youngest, so it couldn't.
Well, he was 3 years. There was 3 years between Glenn, so that was
32. Glenn
yeah.
was 32.
Yeah, Glenn was. Yeah, I was going the other way. Yeah, Glenn was 32. Bobby must have been 29, and then Glenn or Billy.
Billy was when? How much older is Billy than you?
Well, I'm 84, Glenn 86, Bobby would have been 89, and Billy would have been 91 now if he was living.
Okay.
So what year would that have been?
He's 8 years older. Is that what you're saying?
Is that what it was?
Mm.
Yeah,
Right.
he would have been 91, I think, in September.
So you had 3 older brothers. You're the only girl in the house. What do you remember about that? Having older brothers and no sisters.
3 I don't remember too much because Bill and Bobby too much because they were both gone. Bill and Beulah got married in 48, so I was only 13. She still talks about my dress that I had on. She's got a picture. She keeps talking. She says, "You had this taffeta dress on at our wedding." So I was 13 when they got married. So see, and then Bobby and Dolores, I think they got married in 49 or something like that.
And did you always live in that house on Sigsbee Street?
I was the only one born in that house.
Okay.
And the rest of them were born someplace else. And I think Mother and Daddy paid, what was it they said they paid for that house? $1,500 or $1,100? Wasn't very much.
Wow.
And, of course, my grandma and grandpa always lived with us. But I was the only one born in that house. They all lived, close there.
Mm-hmm.
But then they bought this house and I was born. And then when they tore the house down, when the airport took that house, Bobby, my brother, lived here in Avon. He went up and took pictures of it. And he called me and he says, "I went up and took pictures of Mom and Pop's house." He says, "You want them?" And I think I still got them in there somewhere. He didn't think I'd want them because I was born. What's the only house? Well, you kids, this is the only house you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I said. This house, my 3 kids and all my grandkids, this is the only house they know.
And so it was you and your brothers and your parents and your grandparents were living there the whole time?
Mm-hmm. When Mother and Daddy got married, I think right away, I think Mom and Papa moved in with them.
Wow.
And the only time then they bought their house over by the airport. I think, is it still going? I don't know if I brought it in here. It was in my bedroom in there, Cindy, but it might. Is that still going?
Yep. And so, the house was pretty small, and it didn't even have running water or anything.
Nothing. Had an outside John.
Had to go outside to go to the bathroom. You had to pump water and heat water and all that to have any hot water.
Yeah.
And so, where did everybody sleep? How did you guys all fit in that house?
I think, we had a front bedroom. Mother and Daddy was in there. There was a back bedroom, and that's where Mom and Papa slept. And then I think Bobby and Billy slept in what they call the dining room, and then they took the archway down. But they had a little bedroom in between. I don't know if Glenn slept in there. And then that other where the bathroom was put. Greg, I don't remember what was back there. Probably somebody slept back there. I had a bedroom back there for a while. When I was in grade school, before they put the bathroom back there, I remember I had a little rollaway bed. And then, I don't remember how old I was. I was in grade school. I was in grade school.
You said you didn't remember much about Billy and Bobby because they were older, but what about Glenn? He was closer. Did you have any stories about you and him growing up?
I never was really close, with any of them. But we had our own friends and everything. Glenn and I never did run around or anything together. But I was closer with him than I was the rest of them.
How about neighborhood kids that maybe you didn't have as schoolmates or something, but you just were more like neighborhood kids?
Well, Ruth Baker, she lived across the street. She was a good friend. Myra Butterfield, she lived on Victor. Chester Freeland and Bob Schmidt, you knew the Schmidts that moved out here.
Mm-hmm.
I still talk to him all the time. They lived on Victor. Bob and Chet was like two brothers to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were just like two brothers. And they grew up. And then Ruth Baker lived across the street. And there were some people called Loney's. You probably don't remember them, but they were there in the neighborhood. And Binkley's, they lived right on the corner of 6B and 40. And but Joy Bradley was a good friend of mine, and then she moved from Ben Davis out here to Avon.
What year was that?
I thought it was around the 4th grade, and I talked to her here a while back. Her and I are going to go out to lunch soon, and Shirley. I thought that it was like the 3rd or 4th. Oh, thank you so much, Cindy. Did you find it?
Yep. Well,
I got.
you had a can that was empty. So.
Okay. Anyway, every now and then I get dry. But Joy Bradley, she lived, where Kleppers. That's where they moved from, and they moved out here. That was one thing in grade school. When she moved out to Avon, Ben Davis grade school had spring break. So I'd come out here and visit. When Joy moved out here to Avon, I'd come out here. And Avon didn't have spring break, so I'd go to school with her, sit with her in class.
You went to school at a different school just because you didn't have anything else to do.
Well, I had spring break, and then when I came out to visit with her, I'd go to school with her.
Huh. I'm surprised they let you.
Oh, yeah. I sat right in class with her at Avon.
What was Avon High School like back then, or grade school, or whatever it was?
Well, I don't remember that. I just remember going to school. Just probably like it is now. I mean...
Well, it had to be an old country school back then, right?
I can't even remember where that grade school was, Greg. I've slept since then.
Yeah. Several times.
I'm trying to figure out... He's picking my brain, isn't he?
Yeah. So what memories do you have about
oh gosh, Craig.
Any other relatives? Let's go back to great grandparents. What memories do you have of great grandparents?
Did I have great grandparents?
You had to.
Well, I did. I tell you about rowing across the Ohio River in a rowboat.
No, I don't think so.
That was when my grandpa died. I was 6 years old, and the Ohio River was flooded down there. I can't remember the bridge. I talked to Mother and Daddy about that, and I don't remember but when my grandpa died, he was in the living room down there. Well, you remember Grandma's old house.
Oh, yeah.
And they kept people, when they died, they kept them in the living room. And I can remember, I was 6 years old when he died. And they had his casket and everything right there in the living room. He had a white beard, I remember that. And but no, we went down to his...
Keep going.
We went down to his funeral, and we couldn't get across the Ohio River, and they put us in a rowboat. And we rowed across the Ohio River in a rowboat to get over when my grandpa died. And... well, you want to hear
That was your grandpa, though. That was your dad's dad.
Yeah. See, I don't remember any great.
You didn't have any great grandparents alive when you were little.
Greg, I don't think so.
Your
Just
grandparents,
all of my
parents.
Just my grandparents.
Huh. Okay. Well, let's talk about your grandparents then. So, Mama and Papa, Grayson. What was Mama's maiden name? Do you remember that?
Grayson. Oh no. Howard.
Howard. See, I'm not sure I ever knew that. Mm-hmm. See, look at that. See, that's.
And she was a twin. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Mama was a twin. She was born in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
And her name was Ira, or
no, Ora.
Ora.
And her twin sister was Ira.
Let's get this straight now. So she had a twin sister named Ira. Her name was Ora, and your dad's name was Ori.
Or you're right.
That's pretty odd, right there.
In the same family. In the same.
Ira, Ora, and Ori.
Yeah, that's right. And they were born in Bowling Green, Kentucky. They was. And I don't know when they came up here with Mother. And also, I was going to say that I thought this too. Mother had an older sister. She died either at birth or she lived just a few hours. I can't remember. And she's buried down in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I always thought she was an only child.
She was.
She had a sibling that was
a
born
girl.
Alive and then died quickly
and
thereafter.
that was in Bowling Green.
Huh.
She died. She was either She was stillborn or she died right directly after. So she's buried somewhere in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
And she would be a Grayson, too. Right?
No, she would be. Yeah, she'd be a Grayson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Greg, you're getting me confused. Yeah, she would be a Grayson.
And so who else? What
You know,
other?
I've got thinking about that Howard name now. I know that was Mama's maiden name when I said, or was it? Greg, let me think.
You don't have to worry about it. We can look it up later. That's why I was looking for that sheet because that's what was on that sheet. Is
Yeah.
People's maiden names and stuff.
Greg, I don't know what sheet you're
Family tree
talking
stuff.
about.
Anyway, so you knew Ira.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Well, she used to come up some, not often.
Oh, she
I
never
can't-
came to Indianapolis?
She did. She did a few
But
times.
she didn't move. I mean, she stayed in
Oh
Bowling
no,
Green?
she stayed down there and she married. Oh gosh. She married. What was his name? Yeah, he lived longer than her. I can't remember what she died from, but he lived longer than she did, and he stayed down there too in Bowling Green.
Did Mama have any other siblings?
Oh yeah, she had Vernie, Pernie.
No.
Vernie and Pernie. Pernie lived here, and Vernie did too. Vernie.
You're not kidding?
Oh no, that's her name. No, that's her name. Pernie and was she married Hubert Johnson, and they lived right here in Ben Davis. Oh yeah, and that was, remember Kenny Lowe that used to come. Okay. Get my mind going here. Okay, Aunt Addie was Mama's oldest sister, and she was Hubert Lowe's son. I mean, Hubert was her son, Aunt
Okay.
Addie, and they
So-
lived
so
out
that
on
was
the
your
south side of
grandma's nephew.
Indianapolis. Huh?
This Lowe was your grandma's nephew.
Lowe, yeah, Kenny Lowe. He
Okay.
was the nephew, and he was.
So
and
who were the other siblings that Mama had? This is getting
They're
good.
gonna rhyme.
Yeah.
Well, she had Pernie and Pernie lived here. She lived up in Michigan for quite some time, and I forget what her husband's name was, and she used to come down quite often. And then Vernie, and then Pernie was the one that lived here in Ben Davis, and she had she had 2 or 3 kids. Some of Mama's others, she had brothers, and I can't. Aunt Addie, we used to call her Aunt Addie, and
Your mom didn't have any siblings, and so you didn't really have cousins from that
Right,
side.
never
but
had a cousin.
What about second cousins that would have been?
I've never had a first cousin because Clarence and Derb didn't get married.
Yeah.
So and Mama, Mother was. So I never had a first cousin.
So you would have had some younger kids from that branch off of Mama's siblings.
Yeah, some of them, but I didn't know.
Didn't know them. All right. What about Papa? What do you remember about him or
Papa,
his siblings?
Papa had Elmer, and he was married to, and they're buried in Plainfield. Him and his wife both are buried in Plainfield, not too far from where Mother and Daddy are buried. Elmer and Marie, they used to come out all the time, and then
I remember Elmer and Marie.
Elmer and Marie,
Yeah, I
they're
remember
buried in
them.
Plainfield, and then the other one that's a politician. He lived in Claremont, and they're buried in Brownsburg. Edith and Greg. Edith and I can't think. Well, it was Grayson, of course. Oh, that was on Papa's side.
Yeah, great.
That's who you said.
Yeah.
Guys, you really racking my brain. Can't think of his name. The other one's name. He was a politician. He was a commissioner. He was a county commissioner or something.
I didn't know we had a politician in the family.
Oh yeah, he was a Republican. All my family was Republicans. I don't know how I ended up being Democrat.
Huh. Let's see. Did you, since they lived with you, I mean, did they take care of you too, or watch
Oh,
you?
yeah.
Or, I mean, they were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because your mom and dad would go off on trips and stuff, right? Motorcycle trips, or go down to the farm or something.
Yeah. They took a motorcycle. When Clarence was in service, they went clear to Colorado on that motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mom and Papa was there, and we had a.
Did they were they strict? Would they let you get away with stuff? Could you would they?
Who, Mama?
Yeah.
Papa?
Were they? You don't remember?
We never got in trouble, Greg.
Yeah. You
We
never
did.
got.
We never got.
You don't remember.
And
ever,
if you believe that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't ever remember getting in big trouble or doing stuff or
I don't remember, Greg. I mean,
breaking stuff accidentally or any smart enough to your dad and having him whip you or any of
well,
those.
we probably knew better than to smart off. Let me put it that way, probably.
Mm.
I got to tell you one story about we had a drive-in right there west of Indianapolis. I can't remember. Well, Bob and Billy was still at home, so it had to be in the 40s. And this drive-in, it was right down on 40 where we lived there. And they had a little stand where you could go get Cokes, and the drive-in movie, you had to take a blanket. And they had this, what do you call it? The speaker was on the side of this building, and that was how you heard the movie. So one time, they let me go one time. Bill and Bobby used to go. Mother and Daddy never let me. I was young. I was probably, I don't know how old I was. But anyway, the one time that I remember, I might have gone more, but this one time I remember. And anyway, they let me go, and we used to have to take a blanket, and we'd watch these movies. Had this screen like a drive-in movie. So here we come walking home. We could walk because it was right down the road. So we come walking up the backyard, and the lights was on and everything. I think it was 11:30 or 12. I can't remember. And Mama, we walked in the back door, and their Mama was frying eggs. She looked around and she says, "What are you guys all coming in?" Well, it wasn't that. She thought it was 4 or 5 o'clock, and anyway, she somehow the time got messed up. She was up fixing eggs, and we had walked down there. So anyway,
Like at 11 o'clock at night?
It was 11 o'clock, and she thought it was 4 or so. Anyway, she was up frying eggs when we walked in the back door, and I remember that. That was one thing I do remember with my brothers. I didn't. We got closer after we all got married and everything. We got closer with our kids.
Yeah, well, it's surprising because you were pretty close growing up just because you had to sleep on top of each other.
Well, I didn't have a bed. I slept on the couch the whole time. I never had a bed.
That's amazing.
So
I'm surprised you don't have back problems today.
well, I do, Greg.
Day.
I just went through therapy.
Yeah. Maybe
I told Cindy I lay on the floor for my.
That's where they came from.
Oh gollies.
All right, let's talk about your dad's parents. What do you remember about your great grandma? I mean, your grandma.
My
Fox.
grandma was. She was.
What's her maiden name?
McCord.
McCord.
I think it was McCord.
Did you know? Did she have siblings or anybody relatives that you knew from her side?
She had a. See, I can't think of her name either. I can't think.
She had a sister.
I don't know whether it was a sister. I can't remember what relation she was to her. Might have been half. I don't know. I can't remember. I can't even remember her name. I never did know. But my grandma, she was, my other grandma too. My mom's mom was, she more or less raised us. I mean, mother worked too. See, that's why.
Where did grandma work? I don't remember hearing about her working.
She worked at Automatic Screw Products, and I did too. Did you?
You making screws?
No, it was an Automatic Screw. It was out on Sherman Drive, off East Washington on Sherman Drive. Mother worked out there, and then after, that was where you were born. When we lived in Bridgeport, and I got a job there and worked for a short time. And that's where my mom worked. And then Mama was there with us, but then Mom and Papa bought that house over by the airport. Do you remember that little house?
Not really.
Well, that's where Grandma Katie lived, too.
Okay.
And that was right there. Of course, it's all gone now. But Mama and Papa bought that little house, and they moved out and moved over there. But, Greg, I don't remember when that was. I can't remember when that was. And then Grandma Katie and Bob, after we got married, Bob and Katie lived there. And, of course, the airport.
In the same house?
Huh?
In the very same house?
Well, Mom and Papa moved out, and I think that's when they went to the farm.
Oh, but they
Greg.
bought the same house?
They didn't buy it. They rented it from Mom and Papa, and then they sold it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then when they moved from there, that's when Grandma Katie moved to Monrovia.
Okay.
Well, Greg, did you remember that little house over by the airport?
Uh-uh.
You don't remember? I'd see that was probably gone before
I don't remember that at all.
before you were born.
But sticking with your dad's mom,
Okay.
Grandma Fox. What do you remember about her growing up? She didn't
Mother,
live-
you mean?
No, your grandma.
Mama?
No, the other one.
Grandma Fox?
Grandma Fox. What do you remember?
Greg, she was a nice lady. The one thing I do remember, she was 97 when she died, and she had to put up with Derb all the time. You know, she had to put up with him. Both of my uncles was in World War II. I mean, Clarence was over in the Philippines, and Derb he never went out of the country. He stayed. I don't know where he was stationed, but anyway, they took care of her. They had this old house. And I've still got that thing in my bedroom in there, that wood that was made out of that thing, that came from their old house, that wood, if you ever wanted or whoever would want it.
Yeah. What is it? A picture frame now or what?
It's where I've got stuff. What do they call it? A
Like a shadow box?
shadow box.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was made. Somebody in Kentucky made that from my grandma's old
I
house.
remember that old house before.
Yeah,
they built
that was
the
it. Well, yeah, we
modern
got
house.
I got pictures of that, Greg.
Mhm.
But I remember her when we'd go down. I remember when I was in
Would you ever just go down there and your parents would leave you there for a while and you'd spend time with her alone?
Never stayed, but I remember we would ride the bus. I remember one time Mother and I rode the bus down there, and I remember I got sick on the bus. We got car sick on the bus, and went down there. And but yeah, I remember. And Grandma used to come up. She'd come up here and stay for every now and then. That was while they were in service. That was in the 40s when they were in service. I can't remember how long they were there, and. But
And that-
anyway.
What about Grandpa's dad, Grandpa Fox?
I never did know him, Greg.
Oh, you didn't?
Mm-mm.
Did he die before you were born?
Well, he's the one that we had to row across the Ohio River. He died when I was 6.
Okay, so you really didn't get to know him.
I
much.
didn't know him.
And so they lived on a real working farm, right? That's
Oh, yeah.
the only life they ever knew.
Mhm.
It's not like they had day jobs or like Grandpa did.
Mm-mm. They had cistern out there.
So
Do you remember
how-
what a cistern is?
Well, it's a water
Thing
tank.
that you crank like this, brings the water up.
Well, that's just a pump. I thought a cistern was the tank.
Cistern is what it was out there on a piece of concrete, and it was like do you remember the pump that we used to have in the backyard at my mom's house? But this was called a cistern, and it was metal, and it had a thing, and it had a wire. I mean a chain on it, and it brought the water up. That's what a cistern is, or that's what they had.
How did they make money? What did they do to make money on that farm?
Well, he raised his tobacco, and Greg, I don't really know. I don't. Did they have jobs? See, I can't remember.
I remember going down there one time and seeing them kill a chicken.
Oh, they tied its legs on the. Oh, Greg, I remember that. Yeah, my grandma did that. She tied her legs on a clothesline and cut the head off.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
I
pretty-
remember that. Do you remember that?
I feel like I remember it. It's pretty vague, but I just think.
Greg.
Maybe that's probably why I'm vegetarian. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, my grandma, bless her heart, I was cooking here the other day, and I told Debbie, I said, Debbie, I just can't imagine my grandma cooking on a wood stove, and cooking and her dishes and all of her stuff cooked on a wood stove.
This house they lived in was a log cabin, and
Yeah.
it was probably 100 years old when I saw it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was old. But anyway, we built this house, and not too long after that was when Clarence built that house down there.
Yeah, he built it himself, didn't he? That house.
I don't remember if he built it himself, but
Huh.
anyway, when after Mother died, Daddy and I took him down a couple times, and we'd go to the graveyard and everything on the hill down there. And that movie, I can't remember the name of the movie. It was taken right across from where the graveyard is down there in Milton, Kentucky. Anyway, we parked. There's a Methodist church across the street, and I took Daddy down there, and that was already, they were all gone. So we pulled in at the Methodist church over there, and I said, we looked at the farmhouse over there, and they had built another room on it. Do you remember their house that they built?
Huh.
Okay, they had built another room onto this house.
Oh, after they sold it.
After they sold it.
Mhm.
So anyway, I pulled in over to Methodist church, and we sat there and looked at the house, and I said, Daddy, I'm going to go over there, and I'm going to knock on that door. And he said, oh, no, you're not. I said, yes, I am. I'm going to go over there and see if anybody, I didn't see anybody around. I said, I'm going to knock on their door. This man came to the door, I told him who we were. Daddy, he went with me then. I mean, went up to the door. I don't think we went in. I don't know if he invited us. I don't remember. But anyway, told him who we were and everything. He said, this farm will always be known as a farm. He said, everybody around here knows it as a fox farm. He said, that's what it's known. And then Pecars, that grew up here in Avon, his aunt lived right down the road from my grandma.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Pecar.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Same Pecar
I used to
family.
talk to Joe Pecar about it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of your, on the grandma and grandpa on that side, any of their brothers or sisters or anything like that? You said,
No, I was trying to think of my grandma, that one lady, and I don't even know, it might have been a half sister. I think my grandma Fox, I got to tell you another story about her, but my grandma Fox and my grandpa, somebody said they were second cousins. Somehow, I said, that's probably what's wrong with me, you
maybe.
think? I bet in my head that's what's wrong with me.
I think to this day you can marry second cousins. I mean, I don't think that's illegal in any state.
Well, I think they were something. I don't know.
First cousins you can marry in some states still.
Yeah. But anyway, no, when my grandma, bless her heart, Clarence and Derb, Derb died before. See, I can't remember the dates. I've got them all written down, but I can't remember.
Yeah, that was the piece of paper I was looking for. All that.
I know it, Greg. Well, I've got it.
Don't worry about it. Tell us about Clarence and Derb. What do you remember about those?
Well, Clarence was so, well, you knew him. But what I was going to tell you, when Grandma got to where they never did, I think she was just in a home for just a short time, Clarence. I think she died before Clarence. Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, I remember when Derb used to tease her all the time. And Grandma was so late, his mom, yeah. She was so laid back and all. Well, she got to where she'd pinch him. He would tease her so much. And anyway, when she got up, she didn't do it when they were smaller. But right before she died, he teased her so much. Well, and if he went over and he'd say something to her, and if he was close to her, she'd just reach over and pinch him. Just pinch him. I can remember. That's what I remember. Oh yeah, that's what I remember. She'd just reach over and pinch him, and she'd say, "Oh, Jerry Morse." She used to call him Jerry Morse. Jerry Morse.
Why'd they call him Derb?
I have no idea. I don't know where. I don't think I ever heard where he got that name. His name was Jerry Morse.
D-U-R-B.
D-E-D-I. It's D. I always wrote it as D-I-R-B. Derb.
D-I-R-B. There's got to be some
Greg,
story
I
behind
have-
that.
I have no idea where
Because
that
his name was Jerry, right?
Jerry Morse, and my dad's name was Ori Elmer, and I don't think.
Was Clarence's name actual Clarence? That was
Oh
his
yeah,
real
that
name?
was his name, but I don't remember. I don't think he had a middle name.
Huh.
I don't know, Greg. Oh my gosh, that's something else. But I liked them. I mean, I came from a good family, Greg. They were good people, good, honest, working people. I mean, I don't think. Well, who got in trouble? Who ended up in jail?
Yeah, you got to have some black sheep somewhere in that family. Come on.
Who was that? Somebody ended up in jail. Or did, oh, Greg, I can't remember who that was. I don't know. Somebody got in trouble. It wasn't Derb or anybody close, anybody close to us.
Yeah.
I can't remember who that was.
Getting back to your childhood growing up, do you ever remember going on vacation with your family and your brothers and anything like going on a road trip or?
I think we went, all of us went down to, well, we did go to Kentucky. I remember going down to Kentucky once in a while.
Visiting your family, but I mean, what
Yeah,
about a
but
vacation where you went for fun or something?
Oh, did we go with that? Was the whole family? I can't remember, Greg. Glenn might remember. Seemed like we went.
I've seen pictures of you guys in Colorado or something.
No, that was when I got out of high school. That's before I got married.
Oh.
When I graduated, and we went to out to Colorado Springs with Mother and Daddy. That was Glenn and I.
Oh, okay, but Bobby and Billy were already gone.
Yeah.
But that's you don't remember like going to Disney World
Well,
or anything like
it
that?
seems like we went down to.
Well, whatever. They must have Coney Island in New York or whatever.
Well, Mother and Daddy did a lot. I got a lot of pictures. Well, a lot of their pictures I threw.
What would they do? They'd take off on their motorcycles, huh?
Well, that was back. Oh, Greg, I don't remember.
My grandma rode a motorcycle.
Well, yeah, they went to Colorado. Colorado, I told you. That was when Clarence was out there in service.
Oh, he was stationed in Colorado?
He was not in Colorado. Was it Colorado? I think that's where he was stationed. He was over in Philippines. I remember he was stationed over in the Philippines.
Did he actually fight?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And Glenn, he was in service too.
That was after World War II.
Yeah, he was in London. He was in London. But anyway, what was we saying? I can't remember.
I don't know either. You had a story you were going to tell us, but I think we probably went past it.
Was it about my grandma or?
Yeah, we were talking about your grandma in Kentucky.
Yeah. I know I wore shorts down there one time, and she told me she didn't like my shorts. I can't think of this one lady that was close to her, and she was a relative, but I can't remember her name, or I just never did know too many people.
So what about religion? Did you grow up going to church?
She went to the Methodist church. My grandma did.
She was a churchgoer?
She went to the Methodist church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys growing up, your parents?
We didn't really go. I went to the Christian church. I was baptized in Ben Davis Christian Church when I was in high school.
In high school you were?
Mm-hmm.
What about on Mama and Papa? Were they religious at all? Did they go to church?
We never did go. We never did go to church with my mom and dad.
But generally, you were Christian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Celebrating
yeah.
Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And
They believed.
Christian
My mom and dad
holidays
believed.
and all that.
We just never did go to church. I started going to the Ben Davis Christian Church. Shirley and I went there, and I guess it was in high school, and I was baptized. And Joe Brown, Jenny and Joe Brown lived next to us, and he was baptized the same night. And Reverend Hill, that was the pastor there. He's very nice. So, I don't think my mom and dad came. Come think of it, I don't think they came. I don't remember. That was in high school.
Okay.
So.
Let's see. Let's keep going on your life. Then that was your grandparents growing up. So how did you meet Dad?
Oh, he was there in high school. I never did know him. Well, first I was engaged.
And he was a grade ahead of you? I mean, behind you? Or
No, he
same
was
grade?
older than me, but he failed back in grade school. Him and Bob Clubb. And
Bob failed too?
oh yeah, Charles said I looked around and he'd failed. I think that's 5th grade or something like that. He probably didn't go to school. Bob and them, they drank and everything, and I think there was days when he didn't go to school, so he missed out, I think. Anyway,
Bob drank in 4th grade? Is that what you just
no,
said?
not Bob Clubb, Bob Fincham.
Oh, Bob Fincham.
Bob
Okay.
Fincham. I never saw him drunk, Greg. He always brought his beer here, but I never did see him drunk. You probably never did either.
No,
He always had his beer.
Yeah, he was pretty
He hit our mailbox out there one time. That was after Katie died. He came and fixed it. He put it back up again. And he wasn't even drinking, I don't think. I think he just ran into our mailbox. No, your dad, we went to Ben Davis grade school. And I never did know your dad. But we actually met at Butler Fieldhouse. We were playing in basketball at Butler Fieldhouse. That's where we had our tournaments.
What year was that? What year of school were you in?
I was a senior.
Oh, you didn't meet him until you were a senior? But he was in Ben Davis that whole time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was 250. Well,
So he was a junior then, you're saying?
He was probably sophomore, because he failed twice. I don't know, Greg. I don't know how. He's 2 years older than me. I mean, he was 2 years behind me in school, but he was 3 months older.
Yeah.
But anyway, met him at Butler. I was engaged then. I was engaged in high school to Joe Dickey. That's when I used to come out here to Avon and all this stuff. And I
How
knew
long did you date this guy, Joe Dickey?
He was nice, Greg. I don't know. He graduated with Dwayne. He graduated in '52 from Avon, and just coming out here with Joy. And he lived the house is still there, right there on Rock Hill Road. And he was a twin too. He was a twin, and but he was nice. And he went down to Milligan College in Tennessee, and I was engaged to him for a while, and then I just broke it off. Just broke it off. But anyway, meeting your dad. We were at Butler Fieldhouse, and he was just down from us, and we just I don't know, got to talking, and we just got together in school when I was a senior. So, and then we got married November.
And I guess he said he was 2 years younger. So he played sports in high school, didn't he? You didn't know him from that at all?
Oh yeah, he got hurt really bad one time. I don't think you ever knew that. I don't know if you knew.
Hurt
got
playing what?
Playing football. He got hit in he had his whole face was all mashed in. Got hit with cleats.
Oh.
And that way football. Yeah, he played football. Well, like you did. He didn't play basketball, but he played. Well, I got pictures of him football and baseball.
Yeah.
You know, in high school.
Hmm.
And then when I got pregnant, he quit. We got married, and he didn't go ahead and finish. But then he got his GED. And that was that was after we moved here. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he got his GED.
And when Debbie was born, where were you guys living?
Debbie was born. When we first got married in November, that was terrible.
Did you go on a honeymoon?
Oh, Greg.
No
We didn't have a
honeymoon?
car. We didn't have a pot to pee in.
No?
No, we didn't have anything. When we got married, we rented a place down on North College. Was it North College? Downtown, and we lived upstairs. That was in November. And we lived upstairs and on North College. I think it was. Anyway, of course, I was pregnant. And the people downstairs, we lived right above them. Well, of course, there we were 18 years old or whatever. And we had so much company. Kids we went to school with, they'd come up them steps. Well, they didn't like us too well downstairs because we were making too much noise. So we moved out of there as soon as Debbie was born. And that's when we moved over on Lyndhurst Drive. Went by there the other day, and it's all grown up. And Harvey's, they love that house. I mean, they. But anyway,
who were some of your early friends, that you hung around with?
Shirley got married. When did they get married? You mean?
No, who did you have? Who were the friends that you remember from when you were first married that would come over and make noise?
Joyce would come up there. Shirley probably. Dorothy and Bob. All the people that we still run around with,
Danny and Mary.
Danny and Mary. Oh yeah, Danny and Mary'd come up there. Oh yeah, we. What was the story one time about that? I forget now. What was it? We had to pull down what they call a Jenny Lynn, not Jenny Lynn. What do you call these beds that pull outside the wall? Murphy bed. Murphy. That's what we had in this apartment, Murphy. But we only lived there, and then we moved over on Lyndhurst Drive. And we lived there until Vicky was born. Mary and Danny lived in a little cottage right behind us. That's when Danny dumped that garbage all over his head. We lived.
Dumped garbage on his own head.
We had these little cottages on Lyndhurst Drive. On Lyndhurst Drive, there was 2 cottages. Well, the people lived up in front, and there was 2 cottages where we lived. That's where Vicky was born. You were born on Sigsbee. But anyway, and then Mary and Danny rented the house next door, and it was a cottage back there. Well, to get from our house to their house, you had to go in behind, there was a fence. There was a fence, and you had to go in behind and then come up by their toilet. We had outside. Well, we didn't have. We had to go up and get our water up at their spigot. We didn't have water or anything there. And I told you about the guy. He was going to burn the toilet down. Anyway, I was going around. It was almost dark one night, and I was coming up by their toilet. Well, Danny was coming down their sidewalk, and he had garbage in his hand. And I scared him, and that garbage went up in the air, and he never let me free. He says, "Damn you, Norma, I'll get you for that." Well, we had the biggest kick out of that. Till the day he died, he says, "I never did get you back for that garbage going up my head." But anyway, and Mary, we'd feel her climbing over that fence. We had a fence right there. These cottages were small, Cindy. So, huh?
You didn't have a gate? So you had to go climb over the fence?
Oh no, there was a gate if you went about, but we had a gate. There was a fence right between us. But when we went behind, we had to go in behind, and that was come up by our toilet, by their toilet. But no, Charles he worked nights, and he'd bring donuts or something home. I think he worked at home at 11, or maybe that worked at 3 to 11 or what. And we'd hear that fence. And that'd be Mary climbing that fence, and we'd open the door, and she'd come on. She'd say, "Charles, bring donuts tonight." And anyway, she'd climb that fence. And little Danny, there was this huge tree. This is their son. They only had the one son. And this huge tree out there. And I went out there that day, and Danny was little, and he says, Norma, he says, I just, how was he put it? He says, I just planted that tree or something. And I told him about that here, and we still laugh about it. But no, Mary and Danny lived right next door to us, and that was fun. And Mary, the night that I went to the hospital, had Vicky, she was standing there at the fence. She'd say, oh, Norma, I hate to see you going through this. I could still see her. One time she thought she was pregnant. My dad was over there, and she came over there crying. She says, Ori, I think I'm pregnant. That's some of our friends. That's Mary and Danny. Charles went to school with Danny. That's how we knew them. We've had some good friends.
How did you know
Cindy.
Janice and Dwayne?
When?
How did you know them?
I knew Dwayne before Janice and him ever got married. I was going with Joe Dickey, and him and Dwayne, Joe and they both graduated from Avon in '52.
Oh, so you met Nuke
I knew Dwayne.
Nuke through.
Dwayne told me
Joe
about
Dickey?
Jan. Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. She worked at I think it was
Where
Tressler.
did she go to school?
She went to Plainfield.
Oh,
She went to Avon grade school for a while, and then they moved around some. But she ended up, they lived off of down there by Plainfield. She graduated from Plainfield. But no, Dwayne, I knew him before Janice did. And he came up and told me one time, he says, there's a girl that working down there at Tressler's, not knowing that I had known her back in grade school.
You knew.
I knew Janice back in grade school.
How?
She went to Ben Davis grade school for a
Oh,
while.
from Ben Davis. I thought you said Avon. Okay.
No, she went to Ben Davis
Oh,
with
so
me.
you knew Janice before Nuke then?
I knew Janice back in grade school, but not well. You know, I just knew her from going to school. And then Dwayne, he said, there's a girl that he was real shy, used to be. It wasn't afterwards, but anyway, I said, well, ask her, and it happened to be Janice. And but no, I knew Dwayne. And then Dorothy, she had a couple dates with Dwayne.
Yeah, I remember that story.
Yeah.
And then, but yet, even though they were broke up or whatever, they ended up being friends
Oh yeah. Oh
years
yeah.
later.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Dorothy went with Bob for a long time before they got married. Yeah, Dorothy and them got married. Well, they got married the June that Vicky was born. I was nursing her and everything when I stood up with Dorothy and Bob, or with Dorothy to get married.
So if you didn't have cars back then when you were young, how did you go on dates and how did you get along without a car?
Well, I guess some of them had cars, Greg. I guess. I mean,
You didn't go
I
on
think
double
your
dates and
dad-
drive-ins or anything like that?
I think your dad. Yeah, we used to go to Westlake Drive-In, and I think your dad borrowed Bob's car. It was a white, I think it was a Chevy or something, and he'd come and get me, and we'd go.
Bob had a car?
Yeah, Bob Fincham had a car.
Oh, Bob Fincham had a car. He'd borrow his car. Okay.
Oh, and Bob Clubb had a little car, and I think it had, or was that somebody else I'm thinking about? I remember Bob Clubb going to Butler Fieldhouse one time and taking all of us in a car. He had a car. Bob Clubb did. Charles never had a car, but he would have his, Bob Fincham's. He would take his car. Yeah, we date. I mean, people that I dated had cars. I learned in a Joe Dickey. I mean, I learned on a stick. I think it was at Avon School, wherever Avon was. I don't remember, but that's how I learned on a real great. It was an old maroon some kind of car, and I learned on a stick. Drove it one other stick. But when Vicky had a stick car, Greg, and she said, "You want to drive it?" I jumped that thing all the way to Avon. Was it Camaro she had or something had a stick on it? I can't. So.
All right, I forgot to talk about the farm. What do you remember about the farm? Did you spend much time down there,
Well,
or
I
did they
didn't.
put you to work, or?
I didn't like it. Greg, they bought it, I think, in '46. I was 11 years old. And weekends, yeah, we'd take the back seat out of that car. My dad had a 35 Chevy. It opened up from the other way. Opened up this way.
Suicide doors, they call those.
Yeah. We'd take the back seat out of that Chevy, and of course because my dad worked at Lily's, and he was a weekend farmer down Freedom. But anyway, he'd take the back seat out, and Glenn and I, that's where we would sit, in the back seat of that car.
With no seat.
No seat. Somehow, well, we had a little stuff going in or something. I can't remember. I just remember him taking that.
Taking stuff all the time down there.
Oh, yeah, taking stuff. No, I never did really like it down there.
I can imagine why. I mean, you're not, instead of being around your friends, you're
Well,
stuck in
yeah,
the
I
middle
was
of nowhere.
every weekend we'd have to head for the farm. Yeah, he'd come home from work on Friday night, and we'd be down there all Saturday and Sunday, clear to Sunday, and then come home, and then we have to get ready and go to school. And
What would you do down there all weekend then?
Craig, I don't even remember when I was 11, 12 years old. I don't remember. I can't remember.
Now see, my memories of the farm are all good. I loved going down there.
Well, yeah,
but I only had to do it 2 weeks out of the year or something like that. Or,
yeah, you went down there when Mother was keeping you. That
Yeah,
was what it
I
was.
forget how many weeks I'd stay, but it seemed like it was more than one for
I
sure.
can't remember. I remember Glenn one time. Forget what kind of car that was Daddy
Hey, your
had.
brothers must have liked it down there, though.
They liked it. They enjoyed it. Had that old outside toilet, and they had the apple
Although Bobby
orchard.
and Billy are probably pretty well into high school by then, or after.
See,
out of
that
high
was
school, maybe.
46, and Billy graduated from high school in 46,
Oh, okay. So
and Bobby graduated in 48.
all right, so they didn't spend much time down there after that.
They did after with the kids, when
Uh-huh.
you kids were all came along. Our toilet at home on Sigsbee Street, I can remember my mom, even back then, it wasn't too much going on, but I can remember my mom walking me, when I was little, walking me out to that outside John, so I could go to the bathroom. At nighttime, I'd be scared. I can remember that when I was little growing up. And then the toilets, you always spiders. I think that's why I'm so scared of spiders, because of all these outside. Well, we had outside Johns everywhere,
Well,
everywhere I lived.
the story I remember about an outside John was something about a cat.
Oh yeah, that cat got down in it, or was that at the farm? Or, oh, Greg.
I don't remember this. All I remember is somebody sat down on the outhouse toilet and a cat was in there.
Cat-
And it came up underneath him and scared
Yes.
the heck out of him.
Who was it? Greg, I vaguely remember that. Who?
You told me that story a long time ago.
Oh, was it me? I can't remember. I do remember the story. Cindy, what kind of life did you have? Isn't this interesting? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember that. I think that's why I'm scared of spiders now, because I was always so scared of spiders going to those outside jobs. Oh, Lord.
You mentioned World War II a little bit. You remember when it started? Do you remember when it ended?
46, 45,
Yeah.
45.
You were such a little kid, but still, I mean, to me that would have been a scary time if you're an adult, knowing
Yeah.
that there was the Germans taking over the world
I
and
know.
not knowing whether you were going to conquer America at that point. I mean,
Yeah.
do you remember being relieved when it was over, or everybody?
Yeah, I was 10 years old. See, I used to go, remember Helen Lowe?
Mhm.
Helen, okay, that was Kenny's mom. And I used to go out there and stay. And when the war ended, I was out at Helen's, and Hubert, he worked at Lily's too. And Kenny worked at Lily's, and my dad did. But anyway, when the war ended, was that 45 or 46? 45, wasn't it? 45. Okay. So when the war, I was staying out with Helen. Helen used to come out and stay at our house too some.
Hmm.
And then my grandma from Kentucky when she'd come up. And they all used to come here too after Mama, and they'd come here and, pardon me, and my grandma. But anyway, the day that the war ended, I remember I was staying at the Lowe's. Pardon me, Hubert and Helen Hubert. Well, anyway, we went downtown, and they were jumping in that water around the monument down there.
When it war ended.
Jumping in the water and just everybody. And I was little. I do remember that going downtown when the war ended, and they had water. I don't even have water. I don't even know if they. I haven't been downtown for so long. I don't even know if they still got water there. But I remember people was jumping in that water.
I remember being over at Grandma's house on Sigsbee, and Helen was there, and something happened where Grandma got mad at Grandpa because he was flirting with Helen or something. Do you remember that story?
No, I don't remember. I remember Helen Gaskins when she got mad.
That's what it was. It was
Helen
different
Gaskins, that
okay.
was Myra's mom.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was Myra's mom.
Yeah, I remember. Tell us that story, because that's the one I remember. Sort of. I was there, and I couldn't. I was little enough where I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Well, I don't remember how it all happened, but I just know she got jealous of him.
Yeah.
Got jealous of him.
That was the only time I remember Grandma being.
But that
mad at
was
Grandpa.
they lived on Victor Street. Gaskins, they lived on Victor. I remember Myra and I they used to have gooseberries. Myra and I picked gooseberries. I can't remember the whole story. I think Helen and my mom was in like a, what do you call it? Not a craft show. Like a homemakers club. You know how they used to have homemakers
Big
clubs?
hobbies and stuff.
Yeah,
Crafts.
they were in that, and somehow it had something to do with them together or something. And Daddy he didn't do anything. No.
I
But see, she more or less had a nervous breakdown. My mom, you know, my mom had a temper. She had
Yeah.
a bad temper.
I don't, what kind of a nervous breakdown is, I don't remember that, I guess. When was this?
Well, it was probably. Oh golly, Greg, I was married. I mean, after you kids were all born, probably.
Huh.
She just she wasn't in any facility or anything. She just I remember Charles. He went up. I can't remember the whole story. She just started in on my dad. She just started in cussing and carrying on, and you'd call up there and she'd be cussing and carrying on. And I remember Charles something. I know she made the comment one time. She said Charles was the only one that even offered to take me to the doctor. I remember her saying that. But she just, and I think that was at the time when all that was going on with Helen Gaskins, with Myra's. I don't know if Mom.
So how did she get over it? I mean,
I can't remember, Greg. I know she got mad, and we couldn't even call her on the phone because she just. I don't remember. And I think it was over the Helen Gaskins. But I don't remember all that. But yeah, we're living here then, Greg. You kids were.
Yeah. I mean, I remember it too. So.
Yeah. Well, you were there when you were 2 years old. I mean, you. And then do you remember going down to the Myra and Butters after school and everything?
Oh, when they babysat for us?
Uh-huh.
I do.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And you said her maiden name was Gaskin?
Myra was.
Not relation to the Gaskins that went to Avon?
No, I don't think. Myra was an only child, and Bob was. You know, he lived in Waco.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
he
he's
moved
still.
to Waco.
He still lives down there. Karen was his son. I mean, his daughter, and that's why he moved down there. And I sent him a Christmas card this year, and I haven't heard. So, and Mark Butterfield lived in Plainfield, and I couldn't get a hold of him to see if his dad was still living. I asked him one time about a year ago. I said, "Well, Bob, do you think you'll ever move back up here?" And he says, "No." He said he would. He said, when I come to Indy, he said it'll be in ashes. I'll be in ashes, and then he'll be buried out at the Episcopal Church in Danville, where Myra's buried. They brought her. They belong to the Episcopal Church in Danville, but he
So-
still lives in Waco.
What about jobs you had? What jobs did you?
Well,
you said you had a job in high school, or?
I babysit some in high school. No, I had the only time I had a job was I worked at, it was a dime store next to Ayers, and it was right on downtown. Oh, Greg, we used to go down ride the bus. Shirley and I used to ride the bus downtown by ourselves, 11, 12 years old. We'd get on the. They have a Plainfield bus. They had a Bridgeport bus, airport bus, and I worked at Kresge's. In the jewelry department through one Christmas, and then after I got out of school, I worked for Farm Bureau Insurance, and then.
It's funny I didn't know you worked for Farm Bureau. Do you remember that summer I worked in Speedway, college summer that I designed a Farm Bureau building?
You didn't work for Farm Bureau. You was you were engineering company.
Yeah, it was an engineering company, so I did all the systems design, the air conditioner and electrical and all that.
Yeah.
For that Farm Bureau
Oh,
insurance
really?
building. I had no idea you worked for Farm Bureau.
Yeah, Farm Bureau at downtown. It was downtown on Washington Street down there. I worked down there, and I guess till I got married, and then I guess I didn't work anymore until started working at the airport. And you were 9 months old.
You went back to work when I was 9 months?
Mm-hmm.
And then who did I stay with then? Grandma or who did?
Yeah, you stayed with no. Yeah, that's when mother babysat you.
Yeah, the earliest memory I have of babysitting me was when I was like pre-kindergarten.
Yeah, Greg. Well, your dad kept you.
Because he worked nights?
He worked nights, and he kept you.
Because he started working at Chevrolet at like 61 or something, didn't he?
Well, that's when Barb kept you.
Yeah, you were
Yeah,
saying that. Barb
the
Klepper kept me when I was
2 hours from.
was really young.
Yeah, your dad went into work at 3 or 4, and then she kept you till I came home, and then Mother didn't start keeping you till you were around. I don't think you ever had convulsions with them. I don't think.
No,
So-
I was too old, I think. That's what I'm saying. I don't think she kept me when I was real little.
So it must have just
She
been.
might have been working then, still. Grandma Ruth.
I don't remember, Greg.
Hmm.
But Barbara Klepper, she kept you for 2 hours, and I guess the girls would go over there. Well, I mean, after school, and then I'd get you.
And the main thing I remember about the Klepper neighbors was the two girls had a upstairs bedroom, giant, like a dormer attic almost bedroom.
Went from closet to closet.
And all of the walls were plastered with the Beatles.
Was it really?
They were huge Beatles fans.
Linda and Donna.
Yeah.
Linda and Donna. Yeah, and that's where Joy Bradley lived. That's where Bradley's lived, or Joy Bosley lived.
In that same house?
That's where they built it.
Oh, Joy's parents built the
They
Klepper's
built that house, yeah.
See, I didn't
And,
get
and,
that
and when they
connection.
moved out to Avon, Kleppers bought it. And then when we moved there, when I guess, did we move there when I was pregnant with Vicky? Can't remember, Greg. Then we lived in Bridgeport too. Yeah, we moved from Bridgeport to Sixby, and then when we were in Sixby, we built here. I'd come out here when we were building this house. I'd come, even on my lunch hour, I'd drive out to see how much the house was being built. And then Rosie, remember them sitting on there? They built the house next door the same time we did. And they've had, I don't know how many people lived there, and several people lived next door too.
So, anyway, you went, after I was 9 months older, you went to Lake Central? Is that when you started
I
there?
worked for Lake Central from 60. I started there in 60. And then I worked there till Allegheny bought them out in 60. Well, I quit, and then I came back. And got hired back, and then Allegheny bought them out.
How long did you quit for?
I was home for a while, and then I went back. And I can't remember why I quit. Can't remember. I can't remember. But anyway, I went back, and then Allegheny Airlines bought them out. And then it went to American, and then it went to...
And didn't you have a lot of your good buddies working with you there?
Shirley did. Sure. Janice worked there. She worked there first. She didn't work in accounting. I audited airline tickets. That's when you bought an airline ticket, and you, like if it was from here to Cincinnati on one airline, and then it been another airline from, and then I audited the tickets and everything, because we had to audit tickets, because that one airline would have the money, and then we'd have to audit the tickets on the next leg of their trip. But anyway, Janice worked there before we did. Janice worked there before Shirley. And Colleen and I started about the same time in revenue accounting.
So they got you, Janice got all of your jobs? Is
She got Shirley a job, and then for some, I don't know what Janice is, she quit or what. And then Janice worked at the credit union for US Air for, 20-some years after and when Allegheny bought them out, Shirley and everybody went over to Pittsburgh, and because they worked in reservations, and they had to go over, and I didn't go. He didn't want me to go.
I remember that story. So all your friends got to go to Pittsburgh, and they got trained and got some new job or something.
Reservations.
But Dad didn't want you to go.
He didn't want me to go for some reason. He didn't want me to leave because I had to go over there for training at Pittsburgh, and he didn't want me to go.
Remember that.
Yeah, that was in the 60s. That was whatever.
Yeah.
And then I started working at the railroad, and I was there 7 or 8 years.
And that was in the 70s.
That was in the 70s. Yeah, that was in the 70s.
And then after you quit that was it, right?
I never did work. Did I work anymore after that?
I don't remember you ever working after the railroad.
No, I quit and babysat Shan.
Is that what it was?
Oh yeah, I quit. That when I quit over there, I started babysitting. Shan was at 76.
Yeah.
Her and Lori was born in they're 44 this year.
Man.
See, Greg, how old you're getting when your kids get up? That's what I told Debbie when Shan was 43 last January, and I said, Debbie, look, I said, you got a 43-year-old. I said, that really makes you old. And she's, yeah, and it makes you ancient. And I said, I feel every minute of it, too. But Cindy, that's the best time of my life, was raising these kids. And I look back, and, who was it? One of the girls that the kids went to school with, I saw her in a doctor's office one night. This was years ago. And I walked in, and I didn't even remember who she was. And she said, Mrs. Roush. And I said, yeah, and we got to talk. I can't remember who the girl was or where the doctor's office. She says, I just remember you and your husband being down at Avon School. Every time we go to, and we did, weren't we, Greg? We lived at Avon School. From the time we built here, 62, till he graduated in 78. But that was, that's why I tell Lori, you complain about working and trying to do this, and how many hot chocolate things down there in the little coop when we go for Little League football. I don't know how many things I burned up making hot chocolate. But I look back, and that's what I tell the kids now, just enjoy them, because I look back, that was my fun times, raising these kids. And
Well, let's go back to the '60s though. So I don't want to go too far ahead.
raising my kids.
What do you
How long
remember?
is this going to be, Greg?
Yeah, we're doing good. It's still going, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it?
And so, in the '60s, when I was little, and Debbie and Vicky were still little in the '60s, what memories do you have there? Maybe vacations, or just stories of kids, or
Well, Greg, we used to take you all the time. We'd go. Remember, we used to take you down to Cincinnati, down to the. Where was it? Even
it was called Coney Island, I think.
Coney
originally.
I-
And then they created Kings Island.
Kings Island. We used to take you on vacations down there. That was the most place we went, I think, back
It
when
was
we
close and cheap and all that.
could. It was cheap. That's probably all we could afford.
Well,
Greg.
I remember Westlake. That was always a big deal.
Oh yeah. Well, you kids took. You were the only one. We took. You went to Red Cross swimming lessons,
Mm-hmm.
and you were 5 years old or 6.
5 or 6. I just remember it was so cold.
Greg, that was. Oh
I
yeah.
was blue because it was like early summer in
Mm-hmm.
Indiana, early morning, early summer, like right out of school,
Right.
late May, June, and
Yeah.
it was just frigid.
The Red
It's a
Cross.
wonder I learned how to swim because it was horrible.
Did you learn how to swim back there?
Oh yeah,
Did you?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember, Jane Brummagem was Dorothy's neighbor, and she used to go with Dorothy all the time. And then that's when we start. Yeah, that was fun, Greg. Westlake, going over there with you guys.
Just that was the pool part of it, and then they had a drive-in theater we went to a lot.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of movies there.
Yeah. Take our popcorn. Remember, I used to pop popcorn. Take it.
Well, let's get back to cars. Since you didn't have cars when you were young, what cars what's the earliest car you remember you and Dad having?
We had a '51 Ford when we first
what color
got.
was it?
It was gray, a gray '51 Ford, and I remember my dad paid for it. I mean, signed for it, and we paid. We didn't have a car when we got married. We didn't even have a car the whole time we lived down on College Avenue. I don't think we had, because your dad, I think he rode the bus to work, if I remember right. He worked at King. Did he work at Kingman's then? Oh, college, Greg, I don't remember. Did he work at Kingman's when we first got married? He worked there 6 years, I remember.
I think he did because I don't think he had always worked at Chevrolet. I mean, he didn't work at Chevrolet.
No, he worked at
before.
Kingman's for 6 years, but I can't remember when we first got married if that's where he worked or not. But he worked at Kingman's for 6 years. Danny Scotton worked at Kingman's too.
Kingman's was a slaughterhouse, right?
Mhm.
A
Meat, yeah.
meat processor.
Well, yeah, it's right down there on White River. I mean, going across the bridge, and that was when Billy drove for the governor of Indiana. He was state trooper, drove, and Charles Yates used to have to take dead hogs or something across there. And I remember one time that I don't think it was true, but or it might have been. It said Charles was taking something from King as a dead hog or something. There Billy was in the limousine going with the governor of Indiana. I think it was true. I don't remember. But no, we had a '51 Ford. That was gray, and I think my dad signed for it. I don't remember how much it was. And then we had a we had a '65 Ford. And then from there on, we always bought General Motors. I can't remember when your dad started working. He worked there 37 years. And he went to school. He went to school for 4 years, to...
Mm-hmm. I remember night school. Him going to
night
night school.
school.
And it was pretty hard. I mean, he was
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah.
He had to learn a bunch of stuff he actually never used. I remember
yeah.
he had to study air conditioning and
All that stuff.
all kinds of stuff.
Well, he helped put that one furnace in, or that one guy helped him, or I can't remember. But
Yeah.
anyway, we had that, and we had a '65 Ford. I've got pictures of
The
that.
'65 Ford was a white car. I
A
remember.
white, well, it had blue on it, or blue, that
Mhm.
one. And then we had the van.
Oh no, you had the big blue whale.
Oh, that was an Oldsmobile, wasn't
No,
it?
that was a Chevy Bel Air.
Chevy, yeah, I forgot
Big
about it.
blue Bel
Yeah.
Air wagon.
Yeah, Greg, I
Me and
forgot.
Vicky both drove it. And Debbie too, probably.
I forgot about that.
hmm
What year was that, Greg?
I think that was a '67, and that
67.
what
yeah.
I remember most about that car was it's really new, like either brand new or a year or two old, and we tried taking it to Florida, and that thing started leaking oil, and we didn't even get out of Indiana. We had to turn around and come back and Carl Hardwick had to work on it.
Yeah, he came over here that night. You remember all that?
Well, I think we took it to his house. He
took it.
I remember.
He
having-
did it, and we left that next day, didn't we?
Yeah, he fixed it. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever he did, it worked.
Was it Carl Hardwick that did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. That's right.
Mm-hmm. I just
Was
couldn't
it-
believe a brand new car broke down with an oil leak. It was just, that shows you how bad cars were back then.
Did Dwayne Janis go with us that time?
I think so, yeah. Troy was real little, I remember that.
What, is that when we locked him out of that room back there?
I don't remember that
Remember,
part.
we had to stop that night. We had to
Maybe
stand.
they didn't go with us that time. Because I just remember the first time I ever went to Florida, I got the mumps. And we
Oh,
were
yeah, I
staying
remember
in
that, Greg.
Grandma and Grandpa's trailer in Clearwater.
I remember that. We didn't even hardly go there. I went right to the office, and because it was in July, and we got almost down there, and you says, "I'm freezing." I said, "Freezing," and your fever, was up, and we do it straight to the office down there. And where's the hospital? We took you over, and they asked that doctor in the emergency, says, "Well, have you had anybody in school with the mumps?" And you said, "Yeah." And I remember we took turns taking the girls the first week, and he said, that doctor, we said, can about taking you. He says, "How long are you going to be down here?" And we said, "A couple weeks." And he said, "Well, he'll be okay to take the second week." So the first day, your dad and I took turns taking the girls, and then the second week, we let you go.
Yeah, I remember that was the first time I was in the ocean, I think.
That was the first time, and you were 7 years old, I think. Well, that was a brand new. Greg, I forgotten about that car.
Mm-hmm.
It was blue, wasn't it?
Yeah, but maybe that was later because. Yeah, I don't think I was that young when Carl Hardwick was fixing that. We wouldn't have known the Hardwicks, I don't think, would we have? Back in the late 60s?
Probably not.
Maybe it was early 70s when that happened then. Maybe another trip down or something. Or maybe we took that white Ford down. Was it a Ford or?
It was a Ford. That blue and white one was a 65 Ford.
Mm-hmm.
I think 65. I think it was a 65 Ford.
I just remember several vacations following Nuke in his Impala. Didn't he have a copper color, brown colored Impala or something?
Mm-hmm. Well, his Troy still drove that maroon. He was still driving it, and every time something would go wrong, he wanted to keep it. It finally quit running, couldn't be fixed anymore. It was a Buick. Was that the one you're thinking about?
No, this is
It's blue.
No, this is brown, like copper colored brown.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
Malibu.
Okay,
It was
yeah.
An Impala.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. I remember this.
We'd follow each other, wouldn't we?
Yep.
How many times did we do that, Greg, to Florida?
And then did we ever fly anywhere on your pass other than California? That's the only.
That's the only time we
Flight.
flew. $10 a piece. It was $50 that cost me. $10 a piece. And then Vicky was talking about here the other day about dropping that birthday cake.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
But we went to Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farms and
Yeah.
Universal Studios.
rented a car and went past Elvis Presley's mansion. Remember that gate?
Yeah, and me and Vicky both, what we were talking about was that the thing we remembered were the hippies.
Oh, yeah.
We stopped at the corner of Hollywood and Vine,
Right.
and there was just hippies on all four corners.
On all four, yeah.
And they were dirty. I just remember the long hair and dirty, and look, they'd been living out in the, they were basically homeless, right? They were living wherever they could live.
I know. I remember.
That was 68, I think, summer of 68.
Yeah, you were 7 or 8 years old.
I was 7.
7 years old. That was a fun trip, though. I remember we rented a car, and then we rented a cab one time. That one day, he took us around everywhere. That was when we went to Farmer's Market, and
Mm-hmm.
that was in a cab. He took us all around.
Yeah, we were looking at Stars Homes, I think, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then, that. But was that when we went to Elvis? I remember the big gates in front of Elvis's
Yeah,
place.
that's it.
Mm-hmm. That was a fun trip. That was a fun trip.
Yeah, it was, because we'd never flown before. We'd never been to California, never been to Disneyland, none of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then how many trips did we go to Florida? I don't remember.
I lost count. That's why I never wanted to go back much, is because I'd seen Florida enough.
Yeah. We stayed at the El Caribe.
I think we went at least twice and stayed in Grandma's trailer, didn't we?
Probably, yeah.
On the west coast in Clearwater.
Well, Greg, we remember they had just bought it, and we filled up our car with stuff to take down there and put in the trailer. They had just bought it. And I don't remember how long they had that either.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
And then, when we started going in the 70s, I know we went down there like right away when Disney World opened up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, we couldn't believe how big it was.
Oh, yeah.
And just out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that's when we would stay on at Daytona Beach, I think. We spent
Yeah, we stayed
many
there a lot.
summers in Daytona Beach.
That was at El Caribe. And then they tore that down and built a high rise. And when Vicky and Juan went down there, she took a picture of
Oh.
Uh-huh.
You know, Christy Montgomery
Mm-hmm.
that I went to high school with.
Oh my gosh,
that
yeah.
That one time we met up with her family down there.
Yeah.
We went to Disney World together and all that, and she told me recently on Facebook that El Caribe is still there.
Well, it is, but it's not little. Like, that was just a small little motel.
Yeah, it was a 2-story kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you're saying it's a high rise now?
Well, I think it is. I think it's still called. She said it was still there.
She said the El Caribe was still there.
Well, I think it's a high rise now, though.
Hmm.
But what was her mom's name? Debbie knew her. So how did we know her? Did she teach school, or how did we know Christy's mom?
Probably bowling or something. I can imagine.
What was her name, Greg?
I don't remember. Linda?
Linda Montgomery.
That's what comes
But how
to
did
mind.
I know her?
I really don't know. It had to be through some bowling or something.
Well, and remember the boys that played ball down south from Daytona? Vicky dated the one boy. Oh, Greg. Right south of Daytona. Who was the boys that?
Why would they play? How would we know?
There was 2 or 3 brothers of
Were
them.
they professional or something?
No. They played ball at Avon. They stayed down south. We went down there one time, or we met them down there.
Hmm.
Oh, Greg.
Gerard's?
Gerard's.
Hmm.
No, not Gerard's. Yeah, that's who I'm thinking. But who was it?
Boy, I don't know.
They stayed with their grandma and grandpa down south of Daytona.
Hmm.
I don't know if Debbie would remember or not.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Let's see other things about the '60s and. Yeah, we went to the Space Center one time, I think.
Yeah, we did. That was over on the ocean side. Yeah,
And,
we went over there. Remember when we went to St. Petersburg? First time we went to
Mhm.
Florida,
Yeah.
we drove over. That's the first time we saw the ocean.
We went to St. Augustine too and saw the
St.
old fort.
Augustine, that's where it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, St. Augustine's where, because that's where the old,
fort's at.
uh-huh,
And that's the oldest city in America.
right. Yeah, we drove over there before we went on down south. We drove over there just to see the ocean.
Hmm.
Yeah. You remember when we were out in Disneyland, and this kid, we were there, and this kid lived out there, and Vicky, I think she got to talking to him or something, and he came up and he asked us where we were from. I remember he was talking to Vicky, and he says, "Do you remember who won the last 500?" And we said we couldn't remember who it was, and he says, "I remember," and he told us who it was, and anyway, we got talking about the first time we ever saw the ocean and everything. Got talking about that. Do you remember him? He was,
Mm-mm.
yeah, that was when we were out in Disneyland too. I didn't realize how many trips we made, but I guess we did make a lot of trips too.
To Florida we did.
Yeah, we did.
Always went to Florida. It seemed like after we got started going, it seemed like we went 6 or 7 times.
I know Jeff Tapscott went with us once.
So did Dave Freed. Both of them.
Oh, David Freed never went with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was with me that time we met up with Montgomery's. Me and Christy and David went to. We went spent the whole day at Disney World. Almost got kicked out of the Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, they had a backup. There wasn't hardly anybody in there. You know how they have the boats, and they were just stopped and backed up, so we're just stuck there. And so me and David got the bright idea we were going to jump into the next boat. And so we get out, and it's all dark. And so we get out of the boat and get up there, and all of a sudden there you go. Get back in your boats, or you will be put in prison or something like that. They stayed in
Greg, I
character,
don't think
basically.
David
Pirates
drove
of the
with us
Caribbean.
down there, did he?
He did.
How do I not remember that? Would Debbie Vicky
Because
go?
both Dave and Jeff's parents never took him anywhere. Remember, they never went on vacations anywhere.
Greg, I don't remember David
Yeah.
Freed ever going with us.
Yeah, Jeff ended up getting a ticket, of course.
Well, he ate. I mean, he spent all of his money going up and down on that motorcycle,
Yeah, he would
up
rent-
and down Daytona
He
Beach.
was renting motorcycles, and he got
Oh, yeah.
a ticket for speeding on the beach. I remember
Oh
that.
yeah, and he ate. What was it? He ate spaghetti, or what was it? He ate all the time. He came up. We went to Bob's funeral,
Mhm.
his dad's funeral, and the church, Catholic church out there in where Doris goes, out there in Brownsburg, and that's where we had Doug. He goes to that Catholic church over
I
there in
didn't know you were
Brownsburg.
Catholic.
Huh?
Cat
Well, they
Scouts are-
weren't. They were raised Methodist.
That's what I
But
thought.
I think Doug married, can't
Oh,
remember
okay.
her name. Marg, I think. Margaret. Anyway, that's where they had Bob's thing after the funeral and everything. And that Jeff, he came up. He's still funny, Greg. He just came up and gave me a great big hug and everything. And I said, yeah, Jeff, I remember you used to take your dad's car and drive around Price Edition after dark. You'd take, after everybody go to bed, this Jeff. And Greg, I can still see him coming over here with these old long legs. And he wouldn't say a word, Cindy. He'd just come over and he'd just sit. And he'd just kind of look around, wouldn't he? Just kind of look around and see what was going on. Just
He
and
was the
his
goofiest
mom,
kid. He was so goofy.
he was. But one night we was sitting here and Charles had gone to work and I saw somebody go by. We had the door open and I said, Greg, somebody just went past our door. And he said, oh, it was probably Jeff Tapscott. And I went to the door and I said, Jeff Tapscott, if you're out there, you better come. He never did
I'm sure
come.
he took off running at that
He took
point.
off running. But no, he used to take his dad's car and drive around Price Edition at nighttime.
Oh, he took it out of Price Edition.
Oh, he did? Oh, I didn't
I
know.
was with him a couple of times.
I don't remember David Tap or,
He didn't have his license.
Oh.
He stole his dad's car after his parents went to bed.
yeah. Greg, I don't remember David Freak going to Florida with us. Why don't I remember that?
Oh, yeah, he definitely did.
But it was just the two of you after the girls were gone?
Yeah, with Jeff, it seems like Debbie went, but Vicky didn't.
Well, Debbie was pregnant. Remember she ate watermelon the whole time we were in Florida? She'd get up and eat watermelon. She was pregnant with Shan.
Huh.
Yeah, she went. Yeah, we had that Monte Carlo. We forgot about the Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
You wrecked it.
Yeah, I wrecked both cars in one weekend.
He wrecked the other one pulling off of 10th Street up there going into the P. See, my memory is pretty good,
Pretty
Greg.
good.
He wrecked the other one. Somebody hit the back end. Then he was in college. He took our Monte Carlo, and that was a snow. Somebody ran into the side of it, and that stayed there. Somebody bought it. Who? I forget how we got rid of that.
What?
The Monte Carlo. Going with Charles, and Joyce was going with Bill Whitus, and we came out here to the Hana Bridge. We heard about the Hana Bridge in Avon. We were in high school, and we climbed up in there. I forget how we got up in there, but she still laughs about us running along. Joyce, she lives in Lebanon now, and we were laughing about the other day and how we were running along those tracks up there. We were running, and we stayed up there for a while, and we got back down, but I don't think we ever saw a train. I don't remember, but I was in high school. That was a long time ago. Yeah, I forgot about it.
I don't remember any.
Yeah, Irma and Aunt Ollie, and then she had brothers, two brothers.
I remember Aunt Irma. That's about the only one I remember.
Oh, okay, Aunt Irma. Susie's the only one I talked to, and that was your dad's cousin. I got a card from her, and she said her husband was sick.
Oh, no, don't. We're not gonna.
Oh,
I'm taping.
Oh, you are taping?
Yes.
oh,
okay.
you are? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, let's not do that yet. Let's keep going on. The family growing up.
Greg, this is going to be so boring for everybody.
No, we'll edit it down. We can edit it. I just want to plug my phone in.
Is it going now?
Well,
So, what about Avon school stories?
Avon School Stories.
Debbie and Vicky, what do you remember about them going to school at Avon? Grade school stories.
Grade School Stories.
Did they ever get in trouble?
You did, 8th grade, taking beer.
Yep, that was whiskey.
in 8th grade?
That was David Free. I think you got mixed up with David.
No, that was Jim Utley.
Well, yeah, Jim Utley. Yeah, he
in
got
8th grade.
drunk.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, we had to go down to school that day.
But he ratted on me.
And then Joy Bradley's dad, husband, was the one you had to sit with us at the ball games. Remember at the basketball? Anyway, go ahead. What was you going to
I
ask?
was going to ask about Debbie and Vicky in school.
Well,
What do
I
you
can't
about them?
remember. They were cheerleaders.
Nothing before that though.
Well, what did they do in grade school? I can't remember anything that. I know I used to go down there and work at the fall festivals, and
Yeah.
I can't remember too much. You kids in grade school. I mean,
Hmm.
just I know I used to go down there.
They didn't. I know I tried playing in the band one time and lasted about
You wanted to play
one
drums.
lesson or something. Yeah, I wanted to play drums.
wanted to
and
play
I come
drums.
home with a trumpet, and that was it. I was done.
Well, yeah, I think you only did it just a short time.
I missed like the first practice or class or whatever, and then the second one I went in there and I felt like I was so far behind. It was like what? Plus it was a trumpet.
And he wanted to play the drums, Cindy.
Yeah, I think you guys had something to do with it.
We did. We didn't want you to play the drums.
See, I could have been the best drummer ever. You never know. What about Debbie and Vicky? Did they play any instruments? I think
Vicky, didn't she start out in the band too?
Yeah,
Didn't she?
I remember
A
Vicky
flute
maybe,
or no?
I forget what her instrument was.
Oh, Greg, you're really taxing my mind.
But I don't remember them playing any sports. I mean, Debbie was always in
Well,
the
they didn't have sports for girls.
But you said they had track for you.
That was Ben Davis.
Yeah.
7th grade, I ran. Yeah, where's my ribbons? I'll have to get them out sometime.
But they ended up, they had powder puff games where they'd let them play one time a year. They'd play basketball.
They
or
played
something.
with teachers. Remember
that
the
again?
seniors? That was the seniors.
The girls played the women teachers. We did that in high school too with the men too. I played against the teachers.
I think when Debbie was a senior, I hadn't even gone back there to see what she needed, or if she did. You check on her to see if she's awake?
I think they had basketball back then, but like you said,
I don't think so, Greg.
Vicky was a cheerleader from like the get-go.
7th
grade or whenever.
6th or
As soon as
7th.
she could be a cheerleader, she was a cheerleader all the way through high school. But Debbie didn't. I think she tried out every year, didn't make it or
Well,
something.
I don't know if she tried out, but she made it finally her senior year.
By her senior year, she finally made varsity cheerleader
Mhm.
when Vicky was a sophomore. So both of them were on the same high school cheerleading squad.
But what was we talking about right before that? What was we talking about?
Sports.
Sports. Yeah, Debbie, when she was a senior, I think the senior class made four points and she made 2 of them or something, whatever it was. I can't remember. So, I don't know if she wants anything or not. I don't even check to see if she's awake. Usually I check on her to see if she wants anything.
You want me to ask? I can.
Yeah, could you go check and just see if she is. She sometimes she'll want a popsicle. She gets so dry from the oxygen, she has to eat popsicles.
Yeah, because until they had Title IX, most high schools didn't have a lot of girl sports or
Greg,
any.
I don't think that Avon had, and I remember they couldn't even wear blue jeans. I remember they had to wear, it took a while before they could even wear blue jeans.
Mhm.
No, I just remember going down, just being there for the kids, and can't remember too much about, well, any of you in grade school, all 3 of you.
Yeah, and then
Just remember high school a lot.
even before I got into sports, I mean, Dad was coaching baseball on his own. That was,
Mhm.
he had many years of coaching Babe Ruth, I guess.
Well, Greg, don't you remember when first year you played Little League football at Plainfield?
Mhm.
That was, his 3rd grade?
Third grade. That's
And
when
then
I
he started, and then Hancock helped him get this one started, or told him.
Yeah.
I told Mr. H, and I told Joy, he was there that night, I talked to Joy, and I said, thank him again, because he let him use the field for practice, and he was good to your dad. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
H was. He really,
Mhm.
Greg, and you didn't even attempt to go down there.
I had
You
stuff to do.
Well, I imagine like you said, holidays, they might not have anyway. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But no, I can't. I just remember you kids. I just know this was the only home you had, but I just remember. Was she awake?
Yeah, I brought her some cheese and popsicles.
Yeah, she likes the cheese. That's what she eats.
Yeah.
Popsicle. And I figured she was awake because she said she was awake a lot last night, so that's why she went back to sleep this morning. So anyway, what are we talking about now?
Well, let's go ahead and talk about Dad's family. What you can remember of his family. So he didn't really know his dad much. I mean, right?
I never met him, Greg.
You never met his dad even once?
Well, Deb, when we got married, he was married to, after he died, I met his wife out in Beech Grove. Debbie was born in 54, and he died in February of 55. We went to the funeral. We did go to his funeral, but I had never met him. He was married and she had kids too. I mean, they didn't have any kids. Charles was only 2 when they got a divorce. And I don't know, and then Katie married again, and he was in service. And I remember they rode a bus down to Texas. He was stationed in Texas somewhere. And I don't remember how old or how long that marriage lasted. Or Katie, as a mother-in-law.
I just remember that he like never came back from the service tour, right? He just kind of abandoned her, is what I remember.
Oh, really? I don't remember that, Craig.
I just don't remember like him they got a divorce or anything. I mean, they must have got a divorce, but
Yeah, they weren't married very long.
the only one I ever knew was Grandpa Bob, her
And
third husband.
Grandpa was 11 years old when they got married. Of course, he was an alcoholic, but I always liked him. I mean,
Yeah, he was good to me.
yeah, he was okay.
Um,
Katie used to come here and stay with her minor bird. You remember?
oh yeah, Poncho.
Poncho. He'd say, "Here comes that wino."
I-
We used that, and we'd bring her Poncho. Well, usually she'd come here and stay if he was drunk, and she'd bring Poncho and this great big huge cage, but Poncho, Val would walk in the back door and Poncho would say, "Here comes that wino." And he would say,
He just-
"Hi, Sadie." Remember,
Yeah,
he would say,
yeah.
"Hi, Sadie."
Her name was Katie, but
Katie.
he called her Sadie.
He called her Sadie. This minor bird. Oh, I've got a
Or
tape of.
I remember he'd just go beer.
Yeah. Yeah, he
It was
did.
a minor bird?
It was a minor bird.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
it talked. The
Yeah, yeah.
minor bird talked.
Yeah,
Didn't see
she
it.
loved that bird.
It probably had a vocabulary of 10 words or something like that.
Oh yeah, she had it talk. But anyway, she'd bring it here, and
She had it for a long time too.
she had it. I've got a tape of her, and Greg, I don't know where it's at, but she was it was one Thanksgiving, and she was sitting right there in our kitchen. I was cooking, and and I can still see her. She would sit there. Remember with her hand like on her
She
mouth.
put her finger like this all
Yeah,
the time.
she was sitting. She would always sit like, and she would talk. I think that was after Poncho died, and because I remember her sitting there, and I was taping her, and I've got a little cassette of it somewhere, but I don't know where it's at. And I remember her sitting there. She says, "Norma, I love that bird," and she did. She just loved Poncho, and she had him for quite a while, didn't she, Greg?
Mhm.
They lived in Monrovia, down, south of here. They lived.
You remind me of another story. I don't know if you remember when Grandma Ruth was in hospice care. Cassie was just born.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that? And we had a video camera for that, and I took a video of Grandma Ruth talking kind of like this. She wasn't really talking about her life or anything, but we were just sitting there chatting, and she had a turban on because she had lost her hair, I think.
Yeah, she did.
And Cassie was just a little baby, and I still have that somewhere.
Oh, Greg. Well, was that when she was at the house, or
No, she was in the hospital or a nursing home or
Nursing
something.
home.
She was terminal at that point,
Oh,
but I just remember Cassie was just a baby.
yeah. Well, see, when we had the shower, Debbie and Skip had a house just not too far over here, nice home, and Debbie had Teresa's shower, her baby shower, and Mother was sick. Mother came, but then she died the next year. She died on December 4th. But that wasn't the same year that Cassie was born, was it? Cassie was born 76.
86. So
86,
she died
I
in
mean,
87
86. Mother was born, she died in 87, I
Yeah.
think.
But I haven't, thankfully, had too many people die that, close people around me. I mean, just my grandparents, really, and Dad now. But Grandma's was early and kind of sudden. I just remember
Yeah. She's only 57, Greg. when
she was
died.
young and I was pretty young and Dad got a call and Grandpa Bob said, "I can't wake her up," and it was
Yeah.
just
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, and he drove, and I stayed here, and Charles called me, and he said, "She's gone. She died in her sleep." And that's the way we all want to go, but we don't have that option, do we?
Mm-mm. And I just remember going down to Grandma's and staying with her for weeks at a time, or at least a week at a time, and she had this big old yard, and she was
Grandma Katie, you
yeah,
mean?
yeah. She always, when she was in good health, she was always taking care of the flowers and gardens. And
Oh yeah, they had a big garden over by the airport too.
Did
when
they?
Oh yeah, they had a
she
big
was always
garden.
into gardening.
Well, the picture that I've got in that big other bedroom back in there of you three kids on the wall, that's what Cassie and Mandy, they said, "Grandma, you should keep old pictures back in there." And I have that. Well, those three pictures I showed you a while ago, I found them and put them back. But there's a picture of you three, and looked like you were about 2 maybe, and that picture was taken at Grandma Katie's yard. That was taken down there. Then they were real close with their neighbors next door. I remember what their names were.
I don't remember
Katie,
that so much.
yeah, Katie and Bob were real close, and we knew them. I can't remember what their name was. Yeah, Grandma Katie, she was a good mother-in-law. I mean, you can say what you want about mother, but I always said I said she would really enjoy these kids, with you kids growing up. I mean, or grandkids. I mean,
And yeah, her great grandkids.
yeah, great grandkids.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bob, he came over a few times after she died. Yeah, I still keep flowers on their grave. I go down and put flowers on theirs, and Bob and Dolores's, and Glenn and Sylvie helped me with mother's and Mom and Papa's. And I have to get back down to your dad's. I haven't been down there. Well, I put the Christmas ones on. I always go down after Christmas and take them off. And if they're still good, I put them in a box and put them back on next year. So then Glenn and Sylvie, they'll put the flowers on in the spring. They usually go down in the spring and put them on. I put new styrofoam in the urns and do all that. So, but
And then Bob had some brothers and sisters, right? But Grandma Katie had how many siblings then?
she had there was Aunt Irma, and that's Susie, the only one I hear from anymore. And then she had Aunt Ollie. Katie had brothers that died young. They were the ones that they had some problem in jail. See, I never didn't know them. There was two boys, and they were younger. Aunt Ollie and Aunt Irma. I knew both of them. Aunt Irma more than any of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she was look how foggy it's getting. And but anyway, and then her two brothers was younger. And then you remember Bobby? That was her really young brother.
I do remember.
And
him.
they used to come here, remember? And they had the kids that went down south. They were in North Florida or something. And I used to hear from them.
And wasn't was it Bobby's son that died in the same fire?
In the fire with the grandma.
Right, with
Yeah,
grandma.
you remember that. Yeah.
Her name was She was Gilchrist.
Gilchrist. Gilchrist. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I remember her.
She went back in.
I didn't know. Her husband must have died. Or my great grandpa on that side must have died before I was.
Yeah,
born.
I don't know what happened to him, Greg. I never didn't know anything about him. I don't think.
And even on Bob's side, I remember his mom.
Oh yeah. Well, they used to come here. I used to have them all here for Thanksgiving and holiday. I've got pictures of Mrs. Fincham and Charles's grandma. They used to come here
Bob's
for.
brother, I remember him, Bill Fincham.
He's the one that used to get Billy when he was a state trooper. My brother was a state trooper, and Bill would get in trouble. And he'd always call Billy.
He would?
Oh yeah.
Is the
Billy
only cop he
knew.
knew to
Oh,
get out of
Billy
trouble?
knew him. Oh yeah, Billy knew him. And but anyway, he called him. What did he call him? He couldn't talk plain, Cindy. He couldn't talk plain. You remember that, Greg? He couldn't talk. And what was it he called Billy?
Bumpkin kind of guy.
He called him something. I forget what he called him.
Hillbilly maybe? Or?
I don't remember. But yeah, when I first started going with Charles, and that Katie was married to Bob, well, my mom and dad knew about the Finchams, and they were drinking people, and Bob.
What do you mean they knew about him before you?
Oh
you
yeah,
knew Dad?
my mom and dad knew, and when I first got,
How
and
did
when
they
they
know
knew
him?
that Charles's mom was married to a Fincham, oh yeah, they knew. For some, I don't know how. I don't think it was with Billy and Bill Fincham. I can't remember, Greg. Oh yeah, I remember when I started going with your dad.
That's interesting that they knew each other before you
Something
and Dad got
they
together.
knew. I don't know whether it was through. Maybe it was through Billy knowing Bill. My brother knowing Bill Fincham.
You should
But
ask.
see,
You should ask Beulah about that. She might remember that connection.
I will. But Bob's dad, Mr. Fincham, and then see Katie and Bob, they lived on North Call, right down by the railroad. And Katie and Bob and Charles lived in this little bitty, it was a one-room place. And I remember they had all kind of cockroaches. And that's your dad, where he lived with his mom and Bob. And then the Finchams all lived next door. Well, Bob's dad stabbed Bob in the back one time.
Yes.
And they were drinkers.
He showed me a scar.
Oh, did he really?
Oh yeah, he still had a scar in his back.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw it. Yeah, he stabbed. What they do, they
It
get
was a-
drunk on
It
weekends.
was a rough and tumble family for
They
sure.
well see how and I remember when your dad started coming around the house. I bet it was because of I never thought about that, but I know they said, I don't know about him. You're going, and then I remember Mom saying later. I remember my mom saying later, in later life after you kids and everything. She says, I think Charles treated you better probably than the other boys treat their wives. No, but no, I think that's probably what it was, because Billy was a state trooper then, so maybe they knew of the Finchams through. I don't remember.
We're gonna have to dig into there. You're gonna get some more.
But who could I call? I have
Beulah
all the
would be your
Finchams
best
are
bet.
gone. They're
I
dead.
know that. Franny might know.
Oh, well, Franny's got a story to tell about the Finchams too. I think she with Harold. That was Harold. That Bob.
That's her dad, isn't it?
Well,
Isn't Harold her dad?
she was supposedly adopted, and she
Oh.
found out later that she was never legally adopted. And she found her dad or mom, one, I forget. She calls Lois passed, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, but she was never legally adopted, and she didn't know that until later. Yeah.
They snatched her?
Well, no, it was some no.
I mean, how do you not legally adopt somebody? I mean, what do you...
Somehow they knew somehow the mom and dad, her real mom and dad. I don't know whether they knew her dad. I don't know how that all came about, or even Fran even knows. But she found her real dad. I don't know if she. Oh, and Mandy. I did talk to Mandy for a long time today, and she sent her DNA, and she said Cassie has too. Both of them. I said, well, how long does it take? I talked to Mandy for a long time while ago, and she said usually takes a week or two. I said, well, be sure and let me know. You know.
I want to see if it matches what the first time we did it.
I know.
'Cause I bet it won't. I bet it won't match the first time we did
Well,
DNA.
it's the technology's got so
That's
better.
what I mean. It's gotten better. The database has gotten bigger too, so they'll start telling you that you've got relatives. Like I was wondering if any of the Roush's on Dad's side will show up.
I know it. I hope it does.
Me too. I'd like to see what
Uh-huh.
the rest of the family tree looks like. 'Cause
Mhm.
he had half brothers or sisters or something, doesn't he?
He had a half. Came to Ben Davis High School looking for your dad one time. Let me think, Greg, who that was.
I never heard that story. So one of his half brothers came looking for him, just wondering who he was or something, or
Yes, but was it her second? Oh, Greg, let me think who it was. Yeah, he came to Ben Davis High School wanting to look your dad up, and he talked to him. Greg. He came to Ben Davis. Was it her second? Gosh, who was it? Was it her second husband's son? Oh, Gregory, I can't think now who that was. But I remember he came to Ben Davis
wait a
High.
minute, you Katie's second husband's.
Yeah.
So that I was talking about the Roush side.
Oh, the Roush side. See, I don't know much about him.
Because
I don't know anything about
that's
his
the
dad.
only way the DNA would find him if they had,
Yeah.
DNA.
I don't know anything about his dad. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him
Yeah.
because I never met him. And your dad, when they divorced, your dad did go over occasionally, and he kept, stayed with him some, but not much. And then he married this other lady, and she treated Charles really nice, I think. And then after she lived in Beech Grove, and her daughter, we kept in contact with him for a while.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we went over and visited with her one time. I don't know why we did, and her daughter was
Was it back
there,
in the
and it
50s?
was his wife.
Hmm.
Her be Charles's stepmom.
Hmm.
That was way back too. So
And I remember going to probably Bob Fincham's house, and it was just really dirty and gross and smelled like pee.
ooh,
They had like a baby or something. They weren't doing very good with their diapers or something. I just remember thinking, because
who was this, Greg?
when I was staying with Grandma Katie, we'd like go visit the Finchams or something. I don't know.
I don't know who that would have been.
It was the brother Bill. Well, over
Oh.
at Bill Fincham's house, maybe.
Because he was never married. Look how tall he's getting. He was never married. Or was he married? Was
I
he
think
ever
got
married?
Yeah, I think he had a wife. He had kids, didn't he?
I don't think Bill ever had kids.
Hmm.
Bob didn't have kids either.
Hmm.
Harold didn't have kids either. In fact, none of those boys had kids of their own.
I remember having, the two grandmas, great grandmas, Bob's
Bob.
mother and
Miss Fincham put up a
Katie's mom, Gilchrist. I remember them so one lady, she died in a house fire,
that was when the little boy, that was Bobby's son, but
Yeah.
died with her.
and they were speculating that he's the one that started it with matches.
They
or
found
something.
him in a closet.
Hmm.
And she had gone back in to find him or something, and they both died.
Hmm.
And gosh, how long ago was that? That was, I don't know how long
But
ago.
when
That was Charles's
when
grandma.
Bob's mom died, I don't remember how she died. Actually, I think she just
I think she was just old age.
Yeah.
I think, Greg. Miss Fincham was not. They used to come here. I'd have them here for Thanksgiving and dinners. And
But yeah, Dad never had any brothers or sisters, and
Mm-mm.
so,
Mm-mm.
and then I had nothing but sisters and daughters, and so I grew up with just.
So now you got little Maxie.
Now I have a.
Little Maxie. You was talking about Grandma Katie's. It was Ann Irma and them, and then she had two younger brothers, and one of them was in jail. Maybe that's who I was thinking of. One of them died in jail or died in prison, or see, Greg, I can't remember all that. And Aunt Ollie, she was only 38. She died with a heart attack. Katie was 57, and then the brothers, they died pretty young too. There was a lot of heart disease on Grandma Katie's side.
Yeah, I'm always hoping I get the Fox genes in my knee. I think I do.
Well, I
pretty
think
much.
you did. Well, I have too. I mean, mine, my heart was caused from, I think, my estrogen. I had a hysterectomy when I was real young, and then, and that, I think that caused a
can't
lot
do
of my
it.
heart problems.
The smoking didn't help either.
Well,
Probably.
no, the smoking, that probably was part of
But
it.
you're right. I think that that can cause problems.
Oh yeah, he took me off of Dr. Jones. He said, you need to get off that estrogen. But I was only, 37 or 38 when I had
Wow.
hysterectomy. Well, they took everything. He even took my appendix. I don't have any appendix. When they took my I don't have anything. And he says, might as well take your appendix. They don't do you any good anyway. So he took them all. Took my whole inside. So, then I had my heart problems. That was 49. I was 48 or 49 when I started having heart. But from the time I was 48, or from 85 to 99, that's when I was having different things. And I haven't had any trouble in 20 years with my heart.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, because I eat Mandy said she was going to go on this 30 day again thing starting now.
The keto thing?
Whole 30.
Whole 30.
Whatever that's called. She was reading what she couldn't have, and I says, now read and tell me what you can eat. You can't eat anything. Well,
It's keto based, isn't it?
It's a 30.
No,
She said she's done it a couple times now for 30 days at a time. She's getting ready to start again. So I said, well, the sweets was, and well, she started naming off she couldn't have peas, she couldn't have this, and she could. But I said, well, what can you eat? She says vegetables and fruit. I said, well, there's sugar in fruit. She said, well, it's the sugar that you add, you can't not have. I said, well, that would put me down right then. I said, I couldn't have my sweets. So she's going to start on that again. Maxito, he was, once it got real quiet in there, and I said, where's Maxito? He was watching something. So he's pretty good when he can sit and watch something, isn't he? I bet he was pretty loud when she first called me. She's off now next Thursday. Oh, she asked me, she said, I think Dad's coming over Sunday to help him put a computer or something.
Yeah, we said we in the day with him trying to put his computer together.
Yeah, she said,
Build
she says,
computer.
I hope Dad's still coming. I said, I think he mentioned it.
Yeah.
Going over there.
So, let's see. When you were growing up, before you met Dad and everything, growing up what did you want to be when you grew up?
Gosh, Greg. Probably get married and have kids. That's probably all I
That-
never even thought about going on school.
No, college never even came up,
Nope.
huh? Because you said you made pretty good grades overall, but
I did in grade school, but then I kind of sloughed in high school. I
Yeah.
made average in high school.
Mhm.
Got out in 3.5 years out of high school.
Wow.
We had 32 credits. I was asking Debbie how many credits Kinsey had to have now. I had to have 32, and I think you had to have 36 or whatever it was. And I think Kinsey has to have even more. I think she's already got her credits. So no, just growing up, Greg, I just grew up with 3 brothers and a whole house full of people, and I had a good childhood. I mean, it was just, I think, a normal childhood. Back then, as normal as the 30s and 40s can be. So.
what are some of the big events, world events or news events you remember, other than we talked about World War II?
Well, I remember where I was working at Lake Central Airlines when Kennedy was killed, and I remember Mac coming out. I remember that. Everybody remembers where they were when he was killed. I remember when Elvis Presley died. I was cooking in there, and your dad says, well, Elvis Presley just died. And you think of, those kind of things. I remember Mac coming out at the airline. We had an office, and he came out and he says, President Kennedy just got shot. And I remember we turned on the radio, everybody. I remember where I was with that. And then what else was there? Big news. I don't know.
Well, there's all the stuff that happened in the 60s, all the turmoil and the
Yeah.
Cuban Missile Crisis and all the political stuff that happened around the Russians and
Bobby
the
Kennedy,
Bobby
Yeah.
Kennedy and
MLK.
Martin Luther King, all
Right.
that stuff that happened. But I mean, in the 50s, did you ever have to worry about the nuclear bomb stuff? Because you know,
Never entered my
fear.
mind, Greg. I don't remember.
You never did drills or anything to get under the desk or any of that stuff? I mean, you were out of school by 53 though, right?
Yeah.
Or something
The
like
only,
that.
the only
mom
drills
did.
we had was fire drills. How to do it if a fire broke out. I
Hmm.
just can't remember too much in my grade school. I think I had a pretty calm life, really.
Well, most of your school was after World War II, right?
Mhm.
And so that was a pretty good period. I mean, even though
Mhm.
the Korean War was going on, that wasn't nearly like the World War II. And the Vietnam War wasn't anything like that either. I mean, it was very different.
I just don't. Yeah, well, I was 10 years old, 45. But that, as far as that day that Pearl Harbor was bombed, that still just stuck in my memory. And I was 5 years old or 6. That really, just like it was yesterday, I could remember my dad working under that car and coming out from underneath it. For some reason, that just really.
Yeah, most Americans at that point didn't want to be in World War II. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
it was already going on in Europe.
Oh yeah.
And you know, the Europeans wanted us to get involved. The
Right.
French and English wanted us, and
Mhm.
the mood here was we didn't want anything to do with it.
I know.
And then the
Till it was
Japanese
bombed. Yeah.
forced it.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty big shock. That was really the only time this country's ever been attacked
Mhm.
by a foreign power on our own
I
soil.
hope it don't happen again.
Other than the terrorist attacks. Of
Oh
course.
yeah, that thing. Oh yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, you remember that.
Oh yeah, Greg. Oh yeah, that was bad. What, 2001, 2001. Yeah, that was a sad day. 3 different places, wasn't it?
Hmm. And then in the late 70s, the grandbabies started
Yeah.
coming.
I quit work and babysat Shan. Debbie was working at King School Supplies out there.
Yeah.
And every time Debbie get pregnant, or every time Vicky, which one?
Debbie was first always.
That was Debbie's.
Debbie was first, then Vicky get pregnant. So they have like almost 3 kids that are almost the same age, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Ethan is close to Scotty, isn't he?
Yeah, real close. Scotty was born in October and Ethan was born in February. Yeah, I got all the birthdays, Greg.
No, wait a minute. No, Debbie only has 3 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan and Scotty are close, and Eric and Amy, and
It's Caitlin that's by herself, more or
then
less.
she's close to Mandy.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I think,
Well, yeah, Caitlin is between your girls.
yeah.
Yeah, Caitlin is between your girls.
And so now, how many great grandkids do you
8.
have?
8 of them.
8 of them. And
Got 18. I got 18 of them.
you got 9 grandkids, right?
Well, I got 10 because I count Cody.
Oh, count Cody. Okay.
I count Cody.
Yeah. So
He wasn't here Christmas.
one of these days, you'll probably have more great grandkids than grandkids.
Yeah, if I live long enough, I will. Yeah. Well, I have to live to be 150 because all these return address labels I got
Yeah.
to use them all. I
Yeah.
gotta live to be 150 to use them all. No, these grandkids, I've always enjoyed the kids. Well, you know, Greg, I've always had the kids. I mean,
Mhm.
I just can't keep these little ones. But, well, Cindy, you saw. I told Mandy this morning, I said, Mandy, I said, both of those girls, I said, they took up with Cindy and your dad. I said, both of them, they were all over them.
She was
And I
jumping on my
said,
stomach.
huh?
She was literally jumping on my
I know.
stomach.
Yeah,
Well, and you too, Cindy. I mean, she was,
on my legs.
oh yeah. And then Evelyn, I said, how many times did she go back?
Oh, that
And
was
that's
funny.
what tickles me with their little glasses, and then she'll go, ha 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 ha. You know, she'll do that.
That laugh is hilarious.
It was.
Oh,
hilarious.
it's so low for her.
Yeah.
Oh, and then she'll go like. She's so fun to watch, and Elena too. And I was glad Scotty and Brandy got to come over. Yeah, they got their hands full, but they're going to Las Vegas the 9th, so they're getting ready to they're looking forward to that. And neither Scotty likes to gamble, but Brandy's not a gambler at all. And this Mike and Jess. See, Jess that Mike married is Heather's sister, so that's Kenzie's mom, and this Mike that married Jess, they're sisters. So it's all combined, all of them combined. So.
So you said you didn't go on a honeymoon, but do you remember any major wedding anniversaries? either, going places or parties or?
I remember our 25th, I remember our 50th, and I remember our 60th.
Yeah,
I remember you working at the airport, and you got our 25th, and your dad kept saying, well, you having something back at the house? He thought, because we went out to eat. He worked at the airport, and he got this banquet room. And anyway, we were just going to go out and eat. And so anyway, and for some reason, I don't know why your dad thought everybody was coming back here. Or something. He kept saying something about that. Yeah, the 25th. And then we walked out I forget where we had to.
it was a surprise kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, we walked in and there was all these people. How many was there, Greg? 50?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember even having taken a lot of pictures. Do you have pictures from that one? You do?
I remember we got pictures of, Greg, I've got to go through these. I think after all the holidays are over, I'm going to bring some of the totes in here and start going through those. It's just so overwhelming when I start going through them, and I can't, there's so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, when my mom and dad died, I went through theirs. The ones that I kept was people. But the ones of all their trips they took, I threw them away because that didn't mean anything to me.
Yeah,
Right.
of course.
And
That's what I'm saying. You don't hang on to too many, because it's almost, when you have too many, you have almost none. You know what I mean?
I know it. I know
You need to
it.
really pull out some special ones and
Yeah.
digitize them and.
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
know,
I've got
everybody
some
can have
pictures
them.
of our 25th, and I've got some from our 50th.
Yep.
And you took pictures of our 50th.
Yeah, I
quite a-
just walked around and took pictures of
But
all
yeah,
the couples.
I've got them,
all the
and-
friends
and-
that showed up.
I've got an album of our 50th. And, well, our 25th too, I think. Yeah, Doc Haggard, remember Doc and Joanne came,
Mhm.
and there was a lot of people that I had no idea that anybody, well, I didn't even, there was a lot of people there that day.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, we had already eaten, what did we have at our reception? Did just cake and stuff? I can't remember at our 25th.
Yeah, I think it was just cake.
Cake and everything. And
Yeah.
then for our 50th, we had food, didn't
Yeah,
we?
it was catered.
Yeah, Primo's, they're hooked onto that Embassy Suites, and it's a nice hotel down there. They closed Primo down. It wasn't even called Primo anymore. And then, of course, our 60th, it was, your dad was so sick. But he lasted. That was in November, or December, November. I guess it was on our anniversary, wasn't it? The 13th? I don't remember. And he was so sick, he was in that neck, or that
Oh yeah, he
brace.
didn't want to be there. You could tell he was really.
Oh, he was sick.
He was in pain.
Well, he called, and
But we forced him to go down there.
yeah. Well, I called Vicky, and I said, Vicky, your dad just don't feel like going, because we was all going to meet down at Charbonneau's. And I said, your dad just got up and don't feel like going. And I said, we would just have everybody just come here and we'll have pizza. She said, well, Mom, I'll have to call you back. I said, call me back. And so she called me back a little bit. She said, well, I'm going to tell you now. She said, your friends are coming too. So there was quite a few there for that one, wasn't it?
And we got
Our
good video.
60.
We got a nice video of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could tell he really felt bad. And but he lasted from then till clear the end of March. I remember Greg came home so soon. I mean, we took him to the hospital. I remember Bobby. She was so nice. And Vic Shan does the nurse that came to see your dad in hospice, and the pastor, Jepano, and Shan does both of their hair. And but anyway, Shan said, Grandma, she used to ask about you all the time. But anyway, that Monday before he died, well, Ethan was here that Sunday, and he was trying to get out of bed and everything. We had a hospital bed in here. That was the Sunday before he died. And then that Monday, she tried to put a catheter in him, and oh, the blood just went everywhere and just spewed out. Oh, it was terrible. So anyway, and when you're in hospice, you don't have your same doctor. You have hospice doctors.
Mhm.
Well, they don't want to send you to the hospital because they're, but he did. He ended up in the hospital, and that's when she says, you better call your son, and that was on Monday. And you came right home. I think you were here that Tuesday, weren't you, Greg?
Yeah,
Remember.
I think he waited for me to get here just so he could say goodbye. And,
Uh-huh. But you got here Tuesday, but he lasted till Friday.
yeah, but he went. I said hi, how you doing or whatever, and he said a couple words, and then that was it. He went into a kind of a coma or something.
But Greg, that whole week, I can't
Unconscious.
remember.
But
I've
he
lost.
lasted for a few days
Yeah,
unconscious.
you got in on Tuesday, and he lasted till Friday night. He
Mhm.
died at I think 7 something Friday night. But Greg, what was I gonna say? That whole week, I've lost it. I cannot remember that week. And Vicky says, Mom, I was there with you. And I said, yeah, I remember. For some reason, I think it's just out of my memory.
Mm.
That whole week, I just can't remember. I remember you guys coming and going, and all the kids coming and going. But and Vicky says, Mom, I stayed that whole week, and I think I don't know Juan stayed. I can't remember. But well, I remember Mandy, and cause that Bobby, that nurse Friday, she says he's holding on for something, and that's when Mandy talked to him.
Yep.
I just remember when he was laying in their bed, and I bet was. I don't think it was an hour after Mandy talked to him and he died. Because that Bobby, she said he's holding on for something. But that whole week he was out of it. I mean, he just. But Greg, we could kind of talk to him, couldn't we, some that week or no? Not at all?
No, like I said, he said a couple words to me when I got here,
Okay,
and then that was it. He didn't
That was
say
it.
another word that I heard.
okay. Can't remember. I just know that 1st of January, that time he's in the hospital, I said he'd been in the hospital 8 times from July after his heart. Remember when he fell? I was telling Cindy about that yesterday.
That's when she met him.
Yeah. But she says, well, I didn't go to, he fell at the graduation. She says, well, I didn't go to the graduation, but
Right.
didn't he fall at the auditorium or
Yeah, we were
something?
I think we were walking up the steps to go up into the gym or something,
And he fell down.
Fell down, and I tried to catch him. I think I kept him from
Yeah, you did.
hurting himself or something, but
Yeah.
I knew something was wrong then.
Right. It was his heart. And then it wasn't any, that was in May and he had his surgery in July. His
Yeah.
heart surgery.
Yeah, I came home a couple or 3 times
Yeah,
during the whole
did.
process. And
Right. And he wasn't good after that. He was in the hospital 8 times from July until January 1st, and I said, how can we keep him out of the hospital? She says, have you ever thought about hospice? And we brought him home. It was cold that night. I remember raining or something, or snowing maybe. It was the 1st of January. And they brought that hospital bed in that night. From when we got him in the hospital, we put the bed right here. And they brought it home that night. So, tickle me, he would be in here, because he'd watch his ball games. And that's when I would be back in my bedroom, Debbie'd be back in her bedroom. And he'd get ready for bed. Of course, his potty chair was sitting right here, too. And he'd holler at me, and he'd say, Norma, yeah, I'm ready to go to bed. And I'd say, okay, because I had to get him up out of bed and put him on help him with his potty chair. And I could still get him in the shower, too. But that one night, he hollered. He says, Norma, I'm ready to go to bed. I said, okay, good night. Well, Debbie, I could hear her laughing back in the bedroom because all I said was, okay, good night. And Debbie goes, So I came in here. I don't think he think it was too funny. I don't think he thought it was too funny. But I have to help him get out of bed, put him on the pot. But I could still take him. He could still walk, and I'd get him in the shower. I don't remember how long I could do it, but I remember I used to put him in the shower. Oh, and he'd say, thanks for doing this. Thanks for helping me. Oh, my. 60 years of that.
Yep. That's a long time.
Yeah, long time.
All right, well, I guess we'll wrap up the big interview.
If I think of
Norma Jean
anything
Fox
else,
Roush.
if I think of anything else,
So
I'll
here's
call
the
you.
big question.
What's that?
Since probably your future generations are going to be watching this, what advice would you give them? How to lead a happy life, a healthy, happy.
Healthy, yeah.
What advice would you give your future generations?
Oh, gollies, Greg. Just be healthy, be happy, mostly. You raise your kids to be happy. You hope they have a happy life and be independent. You know, just an independent, happy life, and hope they do well. That's all you can do. And you'll be there for all of them.
For all of them?
Most of them.
What do you mean?
For all your kids, grandkids, growing up,
yeah.
all that. When you got to stay around for Max Edel, he's got to have somebody to help him.
Yeah.
Doesn't he, Cindy? Got to have somebody to help him. Now, did we go over everything? Let me think.
Is there anything we missed?
I have no idea.
Talked about your relatives, Dad's relatives.
What we knew about his dad.
And your relationship with Grandpa or with Dad, and having kids.
I just enjoyed
Talked
all
about
that.
your jobs.
Yeah. I've had a happy life. I've had a good life. I've had a good life. Now all I do is sit in there on my bottom and play my games and on my computer. And
Oh, that's what we didn't talk about.
what's that? My computer?
Your gambling.
Oh,
All
I'm gonna go next week.
All the trips to the casinos you've
Yeah.
taken over the years, and how many
That's-
times have you been to Vegas? And
Yeah.
tell us, that they say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You got to
Yeah.
tell us some Vegas stories.
Oh, Greg, it was fun, and I still enjoy it. That's my fun time. I go down there to the Grand. I play them slot. I'm gonna go next week. We're gonna pick a. Doris is ready and Janice is ready. Your dad, before he died, this was before he got sick. He said, Norm, I'd like to go out to Las Vegas one more time, and we never did make it. But I have no desire to go out there now.
Yeah, for me, they're all the same. When you've seen one casino, you've seen them all.
yeah.
What's so special about Vegas?
I don't know. Well, I don't even have any desire to go now. Now, Greg, like I said, Scotty and them are going to go now the 9th, and they're going to be down there for, I think, 3 or 4 days. And Brandy doesn't gamble, and this Mike, that Scotty's friend at Mozart Yard, he's not a gambler, and none of them are. Scotty. Brandy says, yeah, he's going to hold himself to $200 a day, and I said, well, that'll last probably 10 minutes, $200. But no, I just like to go down there, and Janice, and they're ready to go indoors. We'll go down, pick a day next week that, not real. A nice day, and we'll drive down. I can still drive.
But you mainly went with the Flanagans when you traveled for.
Oh yeah, we went.
Did you travel with any other friends out there, or?
Shirley and Bill met us out there one time, and then Laughlin. That's what I told Brandy and Scotty. I said, Scotty, it's not very far if you drive over to Laughlin, and it's right, not too far from Las Vegas. If you are going to rent a car, and he didn't think they were going to. But I said, it's right on the Colorado River, and I said, you fly into Bullhead City, Arizona's on one side, and you go across the Colorado River, and there's Laughlin. And there's about 11 casinos, and we've been there, Janice and I have been there twice, I think, since your dad passed.
Did you ever go to Tahoe?
Yeah.
The
We've been to
casinos?
Reno, too.
Reno and
Reno and Tahoe.
casinos?
We went around Lake Tahoe. We got on a boat
Hmm.
and went around Lake Tahoe.
Hmm.
Yeah, we got Charlotte, I think I got pictures of that. Charlotte made me an album. I talked to them all the time.
They were with you too, right?
Oh yeah, Charlotte and Larry went with us. Yeah, we went out to California. I forget where we were, and we went up to Muir Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, went up there.
Saw the
And-
redwoods.
Huh?
Saw the redwoods.
Redwoods. And
That's so
I haven't been to in San Francisco. We've been there. We rode the trolley cars. We've been. The only place we didn't go is far north and east. We always went south or west.
Mhm.
So, and I've never been to the East Coast. I always wanted to go to New York City one time, but I never made it there. We never been east, period. And as far north, first time with Mike and Vicky when we went up to the casino. Mike and Beulah's Mike,
Mhm.
and there's a called Four Winds, and right across the border from Indiana into Michigan, there's a. And I told Mike, he was driving, I said, Mike, I want you to know you're seeing history being made with me because I've never been across this Indiana border into Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah. We
And
just
you-
never been north.
Well, you went into Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we went up there to the house on the hill, what was that
House
called?
on the Rock.
Yeah, we went up there.
Saw Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yeah.
when we got to
Greg,
him.
did you remember me and driving up there with Dorothy and picked up Teresa and the girls, and that's when we went on up to the Ball of America?
Yep.
Remember?
In Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
And
go.
You didn't go, but remember B was gonna go for some reason, or I think originally the plans were, but Dorothy and I drove. Dorothy and I drove up there, and then we went up to the Mall of America. And I remember the girls rode a little. Have you ever been there, Mall of America up there? It's just a big.
They have an amusement park inside the mall.
Yeah, they rode a little.
Roller coaster, or
little-
Ferris wheel, or something.
Well, it was a
Very nice.
little small roller coaster they rode.
Hmm.
Gosh, Greg, and they were your girls was little then. They were small.
Mm-hmm.
And then I rode up there with Vicky. Drove up there with Vicky one time. Remember, Vicky and I drove up there.
To Chicago or to Mall of America?
No, we just to Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Mi-
Yeah, you guys made many trips up there.
Yeah. Well, I just remember driving up there once with Dorothy, and I remember driving up once with Vicky. I remember the girls. Remember those little towns? Because I instead of driving up 65 and going on, when I drove over to Illinois. and then drove up that way. And you had to go through these little towns and everything. And I got stopped by the police because I didn't slow down to 20 miles an hour or something. Your girls was with me then. And Cassie, I can remember, she was in that car seat in the back behind, because I was driving, I had a van. We had a little, I don't know, 60, what?
Chevy Astro.
Yeah, Chevy Astro van. And Cassie and Mandy, bless her heart, and Cassie would get, well, their legs would get tired, you know, hanging down and everything. That's where they get sees you later. They started that in the driveway when they were little. When they would, that's on the back of, that's the epitaph on the back of our tombstone. And Debbie said, "You're not going to put that on your tombstone." I said, "Yeah, I am." Cassie and Mandy started that when they left to go to Chicago. Sees you later. And they've got the hands on the back of our tombstone. Anyway, Cassie, she'd get back there and her legs would hurt when I was driving, and she would take her feet and push back. I said, "Cassie Ann, you're in." One time I drove in, they were asleep in the back of that van, and I just drove in the garage, and they were both asleep, so I came on in. I had no more hit that door. Well, I heard the car door. "You left us in the car," like I wasn't supposed to. I said, "You were asleep, but it was in the garage." You remember that, Greg?
I remember you telling me about it. I
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
here.
they hit that back door, and both of them gave me the devil because I left them in the car sleeping, and I just had come in. "You left us in the car." Yeah, going up there, counting Mandy's stuff, and I remember Cassie going home and saying, "Oh, it's Grandparents' Day, and I don't have grandparents up here." So we went up for Grandparents' Day. Something else.
All right, well, I'm running out of questions now.
Well,